Sports Talk Daily with Andrew Hustler Paterson and Michael Remis.
Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome to Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily. Andrew Paterson, Michael Remis with you. We got lots to talk about today, coming off of last night's 3-2 loss to the Colorado Avalanche. The teams will head to Denver this afternoon, or the Jets will at least, and they'll play the second end of the home-and-home series tomorrow night in Denver, Colorado. Listen, this was a game that I think we've got lots to talk about. First of all, in my opinion, this pretty much was the final nail in the coffin as far as the any hope of a miraculous run at the end of the season for playoffs. The Jets have 10 games left. They're 5 back of Nashville. They're 4 back of the Kings. Those teams play each other twice, and the Kings have a really, really soft schedule. 2 more games against Vancouver. They've got Toronto. They've got Calgary. Although Calgary, I think, has 9 of a possible 10 points in their last 5 games, which is great to all the people that are watching the bottom of the standings. But let's face it, we've talked about this before. For the Jets to pull off the impossible to get in, it was going to take, basically maybe one loss the rest of the way. So I guess if you ran the table and won 10 in a row to end the season to get to 92 points, you might make it, but as we'll talk about, this is probably going to signal a transition into next week, coming out of this weekend, where we'll see maybe a few more players from the Moose and a different outlook on the Jets as far as what they're looking to accomplish in these final few games. Ugly scene in the third period. Morgan Barron got absolutely trucked by Josh Manson, a high hit, a heavy hit, and then there certainly wasn't a scrum like you'd see from a lot of teams with everyone getting in there. It was Barron sort of by himself, not really too happy with the hit, decided to engage Josh Manson, and it ended very, very poorly for a guy that has been one of the best Jets this season. He got knocked out. He got up afterwards. I had a very good seat for this. He was trying to just skate to the penalty box, and he said to the ref, "Oh, no, I'm fine." He had the sea legs, and unfortunately, he's in the protocol. He'll be out for a week, which means that with the Jets only running 12 forwards right now with the club, they needed to add a couple bodies. Parker Ford and Danny Zhilkin both called up on an emergency basis, so they don't count for one of the final 3 call-ups they have here. I'm going to be straight. I wanted a press release at 11 o'clock last night that Tyrell Bauer was called up and that would be going to Denver and be in that lineup tomorrow. We'll get to that when we get into the program, but would love your thoughts on last night's game. Let us know in the chat and where the Jets are 72 games into an 82-game regular season with the faintest of playoff hopes around. Welcome to everyone, by the way. Hit that thumbs up button if you haven't already. See Derek Schmidt, love your Velarde jersey, Huss. Yeah, I did have the Heritage Velarde on last night. Good to see you and everyone else we saw at the game. Fun night. Thursday night game. Mark Scheifele set a career high for points last night with 2 more goals. But it was the power play early on, 5-on-3. We'll discuss that. That sort of turned the game. And the Jets just did not have it in them to come back and even that game up, although they took it from 3-1 to 3-2, and it did get interesting. Very frustrating in the final couple minutes trying to get Hellebuck out of the net. They just weren't able to get a zone entry and get any sort of possession. And that was the way that it ended. But we'll talk about it. We'll hear from Scott Arniel. Adam Lowry spoke today. Looking forward to those comments from Adam. We're going to have Connor join us as well coming up in about 20 or so. He was at the game, or the skate today, as well as the availabilities. And then Ken Wiebe a little bit later on. We'll also get ready for Blue Jays opening day tonight. Jays raising the banner for the AL champions in the AL East last year. taking on the Athletics. And we'll hit the NFL notebook. Lee Hacksaw Hamilton coming up. And, of course, some marbles a little bit later on. So make sure to stay tuned for that. Just before we bring in Michael Remis, big thanks to all the sponsors that make this show happen each and every day. Of course, our partners over at Coolbet Canada, the friends at Princess Auto, Chud's Power Sports, Clean Line Plumbing, Heating, and Electrical, a Manitoba Battery, Aikens Lake Wilderness Lodge, Uptown Alley, Rowley's Transfer, St. Vital Dental Center, as well as the Manitoba Building Trades and Manitoba Federation of Labor, the Winnipeg Jets, Royal Sports, Boston Pizza, Little Brown Jug, and there's lots of potential topics for a why not question of the day for our friends at Not Auto Corp over at Waverly and McGillivray. All right, let's get Remo in here and get this show on the road. What's going on, dude?
Yeah, I'm enjoying the start of MLB season. The Blue Jays kicking off today. We only have one afternoon game. The MLB schedule, not great, starting with all the day games yesterday. But yes, coming off the Winnipeg Jets loss. Entertaining night, was in the building, sat with Connor upstairs for that one. And, I thought for a second, Scheifele, his goal was so nice, the second one, that he had tied the game up. But no, it was only to make it 3-2 and really struggled to get the puck back to get that tying goal late in the third period. Entertaining night. Nice to see Mark Scheifele, set the record for games played by a player in the Winnipeg Jets jersey, passing Thomas Steen, continuing to set career highs in points. 88 is just so disappointing that such a career year for the franchise player is going to result with the team out of the playoffs. So we'll have a lot of time to debate this season and everything, but it was a fun night, but ultimately they didn't get 2 points. And I want to say further away, but Nashville lost too, so they're still 5 points out of the spot. But as you said, they pretty much are going to have to win every game to make that up.
Yeah, I mean, even if you go 9-1 in your final 10 games and get to 90 points, there's the the Kings would have to win 7. Now, the Kings don't have a tiebreaker against anyone because they never win in regulation. But as we sit here today, the Predators hold down that final wild card spot at 77 points. Their winning streak was broken last night at home by the New Jersey Devils. The Kings' win against Vancouver brought them 1 point back of Nashville. The Kraken, big win for them in Tampa. They're at 74 with a game in hand on the Jets, Kings, and Predators. And then Winnipeg, 72 points in 70 games. The Sharks have been taken on water. They've got 2 wins in their last 10. They've lost 6 in a row. They've actually fallen behind the Jets. For those of you that are hoping the Sharks finish ahead of the Jets in the final standings for a better placement before the draft lottery, the Sharks do have 2 games in hand. So by points percentage, they are actually behind San Jose, which leaves St. Louis, Calgary, Chicago, Vancouver, and, of course, the New York Rangers. So this is sort of where the Jets have been for the better part of the last month or so. But as I've said before, this is going to end up being so tight when it comes to, and like 1 or 2 wins could be the difference from being slotted in around 6th in the draft order to 10th or 11th. And then there's always the danger of teams behind you winning the lottery, which bounces you back a potential of 2 spots. So we will get into all of that. Ken's going to jump on. I'm interested to get Connor's take on all of this. But Reem, I mean, I don't know. Like I expected them to come out and, give it their best, which I think they did. But I was rattled, like seeing what happened to Morgan Barron last night. And listen, I know that they did what they had to do with trading Logan Stanley and Luke Shen and getting what they could for them. But it's so stark, the contrast between the Jets, where they are right now as presently constructed, post Stanley Shen trade, and what we're seeing around the league. Like, there's a lot of people that might not like this, but fighting is back. The anger and the rancor is getting cranked up in all of these games. I don't know if you saw the Vegas Edmonton game last night, but everyone was getting into it in the East. And I mean, this probably comes from Florida Panthers, and we know that the NHL is sort of a copycat league. What have the Panthers done over the last years? Maybe better than anyone. Scrum it up. They'll beat you in a bunch of different ways. Buffalo has completely changed from the team that did nothing when Tage Thompson got smoked a year ago, to a team that is all in. I mean, it's a scrum fest each and every time. And I mean, the Jets right now just don't have that. Here's a why not question of the day for Not Autocorp at Waverly and McGillivray. Obviously, Adam Lowry is the one guy that has fought consistently, is a tough guy, and has definitely stood up for his teammates. Who's number 2 on the Jets right now as presently constructed? Toughest guy. If the shit went down and guys have to drop him, who's the next guy up after Adam Lowry? Anyone on the team? I was talking with some people afterwards, and I have a real hard time answering that question. And, I mean, listen, this team needs to get faster. It needs more skill. It needs so many things. But, man, it was tough to see a guy that has worked his ass off and plays so hard in Morgan Barron, sort of be helped off the ice last night. And there not really being anyone in the lineup to do anything about it. And, listen, with this season, basically, I think we know what the situation is. I was hoping last night we'd hear Bauer getting called up, and today, no offense to Danny Zhilkin and Parker Ford, looking forward to seeing those guys in the lineup. I would have loved to see Bauer get in. And you know what? If they have to go 11-7 for that game tomorrow and say what's up to Josh Manson after what happened last night, I'm totally fine with it.
Yeah, there's some speculation about Bauer's health and his availability. I was at the game on Saturday.
Yes, good point.
Where he was in a extended fight, and very entertaining for the 7-year-old birthday party. I was at the game with Hustler, but extended fight, and he did leave and came back in the game with a full face shield for that one. But I'm not sure if he's so available. But your question. Who's the next Jets fighter? Like, who's the toughest guy after Lowry? That's a tough call. I mean, you look at who's been fighting for them. Like, Iafallo has got one in the last couple of years. Shifley, Connor, not
Pionk
exactly.
threw down with Nuge. Pionk threw down with Nuge after the game in December.
He did throw down with Nuge earlier this year. Pearson fought Josh Manson earlier this year after Manson had a hit from behind on Cole Perfetti. So, I don't know, flip a coin like Cole Koepke. I have no idea. So I think it's definitely a concern, but to fall back to they should have kept Luke Schenn on the roster. I don't think that would be the answer. You have to find something else. Like, yeah, Luke Schenn's tough. He can drop the gloves, but it's also hockey. You're also trying to score more goals than your opponent, and he was on the ice for too many against and not enough for.
Yeah, I mean, I'm seeing this, where is it? Rob Wright. I love old-time hockey, but Manson did nothing wrong. There's nothing for him to answer to. I disagree. I thought the hit was bullshit. I mean, it was a high hit. You could call it charging. I think they called it interference. They could have called it, a head contact. And even if it was, I mean, sometimes when your guy gets blown up, much like Shifley did for Kyle Connor the other day, you stand up for your teammates. Well, there was no one there to do that for Morgan Barron. And, at a certain point, were you just going to get emasculated by the team? I mean, this is a rough sport. I mean, everyone isn't a ballet dancer out on skates. And, you know what? I feel bad for Morgan Barron because he felt like he was standing up for himself. It was a very unfortunate guy to do it. But, I mean, and then think about the third period. Like, how many times did Cole Perfetti get whacked by the Avalanche? Like, there was a lot going on there. And, I mean, listen, if you want to get the best out of a Cole Perfetti long-term, he has to have the confidence that his teammates, somebody out there, when things are going the way they were last night, kind of has his back. I mean, this is a big picture. There's 10 games left in this season. The trade deadline's gone. There's not really anything that you can do, but I just point this out right now because the Jets have for a long time had the luxury of a couple real policemen. I mean, Buff obviously was a 101. And Stanley, I think threw down a little bit more over the last couple of years. To be honest, I don't think he was really a natural with it. But we're going to see him in a bunch of situations going forward. If you circle April 6th on your calendar, by the way, that Buffalo-Tampa rematch, that is going to be a zoo. And it was Stanley and Shen that were not able to play in that game because they hadn't got their visas cleared or whatever. So this is where the game is right now, and it's certainly the game for the teams that are going to be competing for 2 months in the Stanley Cup playoffs. So I don't know. I felt terrible for Barron last night, and I kind of feel like this team is in a spot right now, even in these final games, where it puts some younger, some undersized players in a pretty tough predicament. Going up against a team that had no problem taking the liberties that the Avalanche did yesterday in the third period. Reem, let's hear a little bit. We're going to hear from Adam Lowry in a minute because Lowry spoke on this. But first off, here's Scott Arniel from yesterday's game, just on. Or actually, let's get to. We'll talk about Scheifele. I mean, Scheifele obviously 951 all-time games played leader and did it in style with a couple goals. This is number 4, Reem. Arnie on Scheifele and the career year he's having at 33 years old.
That's the part about being a pro and being a good pro. It's not just the games you play. It's the summertime. It's the conditioning that you have to go through. Looking after your body. The mental side of it. Playing 82 games plus, with the playoffs. Doing it year after year. There's a lot of mental to it, and the guys that do that, that's what they learn, and they learn it young, and then they realize that they have to play a certain way to get to those kind of numbers, and he's done it.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the numbers speak for themselves. He could have 100 points this year. Already beating his career high of 87 yesterday, and a guy that has been very, very durable for the Jets throughout his career. He'll hit 1,000 next year, and that'll be a big, big moment for the organization, having every single one played as a Winnipeg Jets. Remo, let's go to 6. This is sort of a more broad question, but a close game. A game that they absolutely had to have. Scott Arniel was asked on what the Jets could have done better last night.
Colorado had a lot to do with it too. I mean, as they got up 3-1, they were, they were really clogging. They weren't giving us a whole lot of looks. I liked a lot of how we played. I mean, until we got down in the game, there was a lot of good things happening. We were taking a lot of their game, their speed game. We took a lot of that away, and I thought that, we had our looks. We had some opportunities, not as clean as, we hope. If we're going to, for Saturday, we're going to have to get inside and throw some pucks into the blue paint, look for some greasy kind of goals, because they do a good job of trying to keep you the outside as we try to do to them.
Now, the Jets did listen. It was a tough circumstances that led to the goal at the start of the third period. What was it? Taves got that hooking penalty, and I got a text yesterday from a guy I know that was a pro ref for a long time, follows the Jets from out of town, and obviously Elias trying to clear the puck, put it out from deep in his own end, and that ended up being the 5-on-3. But this ref said to me, a really weak hook call on Taves. And then the Jets wheeled the puck out of the rink on the PK. There's an old ref saying on a 5-on-3, it's not the second penalty that puts you in a jackpot. It's the first one. Number 25 Lambert was drawing the ire of that. Listen, you give a team, and I know that Avs power play has been garbage this year. As Connor McGahey told us yesterday, it's getting a lot better since the, what did he call it, the Milano Olympic Power Play Summit. And obviously getting the guys back that they did now with the Nazem Kadri a part of it. I mean, it was going to happen. But Arniel then, down 3-1, challenged the third goal. I think at the behest of Hellebuck. I didn't think it was going to be really possibly overturned, but I think it was an element of backing the goalie up. Here's what Arnie had to say, Remo. This is
3.
This is 3. Yeah, here's Arnie on the goalie interference challenge last night.
It was a real cross-up. Referees told us he tipped the puck before it went into his stick went into Helly's glove. The league said it was contact in outside or in the white, incidental contact in the white on the white ice. And there's actually video where McKinnon's stick goes into Helly's glove before the puck hits his stick. 3 different opinions going on right now. So.
Yes, the never-ending battle of goaltender interference in the National Hockey League. That being said, the Jets had some chances of their own. Power play just has not been clicking. This is 7, Reem. Arnie on the power play's lack of success really since the Olympics.
Tonight, Colorado was extremely aggressive. They pressured us hard, and they got the pucks quicker than we did, and it just, that's just something that's one of our strengths. So usually when teams get real aggressive, we have our numbers and we have bodies around and we move it quick and get it away from there. Tonight we weren't able to do that, so we got to turn around and play them on Saturday. So we know what's coming, so we got to be better at it.
All right, so there's Scott Arniel from last night. Coach did not speak today, but Adam Lowry did. We'll get to that coming up in a couple minutes when Connor joins us. But we should hear quickly from Mark Scheifele, who has spoke on passing Thomas Steen as the franchise's all-time games played leader.
Yeah, it's really cool. Honestly, it's, and if you would have told me that when I started my career, don't know if I would believe you, but, I'm obviously very blessed to get to that point. Just have to thank God for keeping me healthy and just want to keep it going.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I thought we were, Connor's going to join us in just a couple of minutes. And when we come back, we will have Adam Lowry's comments on the third period last night and where the Jets go from here.
Hey, Bob, you hear the news?
I can't listen to the news, Daryl.
This is different.
Oh, it's so negative.
Not this time. Manitoba's got these new jobs agreements. And when the government builds things like new schools and hospitals, they'll hire Manitoba workers first.
Really?
Creating good jobs with union standards and more apprenticeships for Manitobans. And we'll get rid of those out-of-province license plates on job sites.
Keeping our money working for Manitobans, eh?
You betcha.
Well, that's how it should work.
I knew you'd like it.
A message from Manitoba's Building Trades and Federation of Labor.
Spring into good times at Uptown Alley and eat, drink, and play at the most fun spot in the city. You'll enjoy 5-pin bowling, 10-pin bowling, a state-of-the-art arcade, and good times playing laser tag as well. And in addition, Uptown Alley features incredible food and drink options at their bistro. Pop down to Uptown Alley with your group or make it a party. It's the best place in Winnipeg for birthday parties for kids, teens, or adults, and an amazing spot for corporate events where you just simply pick your activities, any of your add-ons, what you'd like to eat, and the Uptown Alley staff takes care of everything else. For more information, go to uptownalley.ca, book a lane at 488-0000, or pop down and see him at 1301 St. Matthews Avenue. Got a move coming up? Lean on our friends and longtime sponsors at Rolly's Transfer, the most trusted name in moving and storage in Manitoba. Now into their 7th decade with over 60 years of experience, family owned and operated. Head over to their website at rollys.com to find out all about their services serving Winnipeg and southern Manitoba. In the top right corner, you can click on Request an Estimate. Use the promo code WST for a special discount on moving services and moving supplies, and then simply let them know when you're moving, where you're moving to, and what needs to be moved. And the friendly staff at Rolly's will turn it around quickly and get you a great quote to get you locked in for the white glove treatment that they've been famous for now for over 60 years in Winnipeg. For all your moving needs, make it Rolly's Transfer, the most trusted name in the game. Find out more and request an estimate today on your next move at rollys.com. Has it been a minute since you've been to the dentist? If it is, Our pal Doc Carey and the wonderful staff at St. Vital Dental Center would love to see you. They've been taking care of generations of Winnipeggers and Manitobans in St. Vital for years and have now moved into a beautiful new facility at 167 St. Anne's with state-of-the-art equipment and convenient free parking right behind the building. They'll handle customers and clients from 6 months to 99 plus with a full array of dental services from cleanings and checkups to surgeries like dental implants. Dr. Terry and the gang can absolutely do it all. We'll do it with a smile on their face and make your smile look even better than it's ever been. Go to stvitaldental.ca online to make an appointment. Pop into St. Vital Dental, get that girl taken care of, and tell them the boys at Winnipeg Sports Talk sent you. All right, let's Kenny Wiebe joining us at the top of the hour, but I wanted to bring in Connor, who was both at the game last night. Great post game with Remo. You can check out as well on the channel. Connor Hrabchak joins us now. What's going on? I like to see you're ready for the opening game tonight. Raise the banner and get going with 162 for the Blue Jays.
Yes, absolutely, Huss. Got my sweet lid from Royal Sports. This was last year. It's a there's the patch, the World Series hat. Got last year. But yeah, excited for Blue Jays baseball. I think there's a lot of Jets fans, or I think there'd be a lot of Jets fans that with the way this hockey season is going and the way the Blue Jays season went last year, going all the way to the World Series, it might be, there might be some heightened interest in baseball around these parts to begin the Blue Jays season. So yeah, excited for the season tonight. And like I've said a few times on this program, baseball is the kind of sport, if you're into it, great. They're playing for the next 162 days, they're not taking many off days. So you get to watch them basically every single night. It's awesome.
Yeah, no, listen, we're going to get back to the Jets and we're going to talk Adam Lowry coming up in just a minute. But I do want to mention that this segment's brought to you by our friends at the Prairie Toyota dealers. Looking to dominate off the ice as much as your team does on it. Check out the Toyota Tacoma. Its standard I-Force engine boasts an impressive towing capacity of up to 6,400 pounds. In fact, it's the most powerful Tacoma ever. So whether you're hauling gear to the rink or heading to an away game, you can tackle it with ease. And the available panoramic multi-terrain view monitor gives you a live underfloor view to navigate even the toughest terrain with ease. Experience power, capability, and convenience with the Toyota Tacoma. Visit shoptoyota.ca or visit your local Prairie Toyota dealer during Red Tag Days from March through May. Connor, we were just talking about last night's game. Obviously, Mark Scheifele, some great milestones, but the Avs power play bit him early in that third period, as you would expect at 5-on-3 against that sort of a talent, and they weren't able to close the gap. And then, of course, the kind of ugly incident with Morgan Barron, who's now lost to the team for a minimum of a week. What were your takeaways from last night?
Yeah, on the game, because I'm sure we'll talk about the Barron fight, coming up here, but with Adam Lowry's thoughts on that, because he did talk about that today. But on the game itself, I mean, the first 40 minutes I thought were strong from the Jets' perspective. And obviously the last couple of minutes of the second period, Taves takes the hooking call, if you want to call it that, and then Salamonson fires a puck not only out of play, but, 4 sections down. He hammered that one way out of play, and the Jets are on a 5-on-3. And yeah, Colorado's power play hasn't been great this year, but you give that many talented players that much space, they're going to make you pay. McKinnon taps one in and then gets the goalie interference one that the Jets reviewed, but ultimately didn't win. And suddenly you're down 3-1, and that's a tough spot to come back from if you're the Winnipeg Jets. But the first 40 minutes, I didn't think the Jets got skated out of the building. Thought the effort was there. I thought, it was really anyone's game for the first 40 minutes, and then Colorado maybe separated themselves in the final 20, which is kind of similar to what happened a week and a half ago, but the difference being the Jets actually took the lead in that game against the Avs, that they ended up winning 3-1. But in this game, it was the Avs getting out in front at the start of the third. So look, with the team where they're at in the standings, I know it's 5 points out, but they've been 5 points out for like 10 days now. You don't want to see them quit. You don't want to see them roll over. I didn't see that last night. First 40 minutes, I thought they played and gave the best team in the NHL a good run for the first 40 minutes, and then Colorado pulled away in the third. So there was a lot to like from a Jets perspective, I thought.
Now, what about the Barron incident? First of all, what did you think of the hit? I know there's some people I thought that was a pretty very aggressive, dangerous, borderline dirty hit. I mean, listen, it's tough for Barron. I mean, he's out there with two young guys. I mean, his wingers are Rosine and Lambert. You got Fleury and DeMello on the ice. Like, I would have loved to have seen the Rick Bowness mantra of you run one of us, you run all of us. And I mean, you don't necessarily have to fight, but getting all those guys in, just to kind of make a statement, that didn't happen. He was sort of all on his own. And needless to say, it was sort of worst case scenario when it all dust settled.
For sure. And on the hit itself, I mean, I think you nailed it earlier on. You could call it a few things. It's high. So you could call anything on that front. The interference angle, I actually thought was the lesser of the two, if you were going to call one. Too. The puck is there, but Barron doesn't necessarily have it, like it's just kind of in the vicinity. But as you can see, Manson is beelining to the corner and hits Barron in a spot that, Barron's not really looking. It's kind of blindside. It's kind of high. Really did not like the hit. And I'm sure Morgan Barron, I mean, we saw him woozy coming off the ice, and I know he took some punches from Manson in the fight. I'm sure that hit had something to do with that too. So he's in concussion protocol, not what you want to see. And then the fighting aspect of it, for sure. I mean, I think it's a heat of the moment thing for Morgan Barron, and it'd be easy for me sitting here in my chair to say, oh, you can't take that fight. I mean, you got to know who you're fighting. But he just took a hit that he didn't like. Josh Manson's standing there, and he's, heat of the moment. He's probably like, yeah, let's go. I don't care, right? I'm ready to go. So Adam Lowry spoke today and said that, in the locker room amongst the team, he earned a lot of respect. Morgan Barron did, for dropping the gloves, for defending himself in that moment. And it was a bad result because Josh Manson is one tough SOB and has knocked out multiple players across, his time in the NHL. He's up, I think he's 44 career fights, and that was Barron's third. So it's absolutely a mismatch. But I don't think there needs to be some referendum on team toughness when the guy literally stood up for himself and did fight. Result having gone the way it did. I agree with you, Huss. You run at all of us. Or you run at one of us, you run at all of us. Would have liked to see everyone get in there, but Barron stuck up for himself. Obviously didn't go the way he wanted it to, or any of us wanted to do, as now he's hurt. And that'll hurt the Jets down the stretch here. But amongst the players in the locker room and the captain who we heard from today, he earned a lot of respect by doing that.
Yeah, Turd Ferguson mentioning, and I kind of go back to what Bones said right from the get-go, and you certainly see it every single game the Columbus Blue Jackets play. I mean, it is a pack mentality of everyone getting in there. And, I know you got some newer players and some guys that certainly probably have never been in a scrap before. Right. Probably not something that they are familiar or comfortable with. But I tell you what, you want to stick around, you want to earn some more juice within that locker room, getting in there. Now, again, it's not natural for a lot of those guys and frankly could be somewhat dangerous. But there is an element right now. If you want to compete with the top teams in the NHL, you have to have that club in your bag somehow. And it's pretty evident right now, post Stanley and Shen trade, it's a big gaping hole right now for the Winnipeg Jets.
Well, I think, Huss, it's valuable that you brought that up because Adam Lowry was asked about that specifically today. He said, or Mike McIntyre of the Free Press asked him, is it overly simplistic to say, well, traded away Stanley and Shen, you don't have team toughness? And he was asked, the question was posed in the sense of, are extra liberties being taken on your players? And he said, I think it's a team toughness perspective. I don't necessarily think any additional liberties are being taken. Guys are always going to play our star players hard. He mentioned the Mark Scheifele fight. He said it was Brett Howden. It's not like it's a real seasoned fighter. He's just a guy playing hard, and he hits one of our best players. So one of our best players went after him, kind of thing. And then at the end, he goes, I think losing those guys, yeah, we lose some of the fighting aspect, but I don't think there's a ton of that in the game anymore. We're comfortable with the guys we have in the room, that if the game goes that way, there are some of us who can step up and handle that business. So the captain of the team, the guy that you would list as the number one toughest guy, he's going to fight if anything goes that way. He's backing his team, saying we might have lost some of that fighting aspect, but he doesn't think that there's as much fighting in the game anymore, and he's comfortable with.
We'll play that. We'll play that right now, or actually a couple. Remo, if you want to get number 9 ready. By the way, T. Konopoli, thanks for that super chat. It disappeared, but we certainly know what topic you were opining on.
You want me to read it here?
Yeah. If you have it.
Okay, I have the super chat. So I think we missed one earlier this week as well, but T. Konopoli, big support. He says, Org soft, getting pushed around. WTF, Barron's out. We're going to Denver thinking we're in a playoff race. Instead of evening a score, teams taking liberties. And no Bauer. Boo. I guess he doesn't like they didn't call up Tyrell Bauer. So shout out to T. Konopoli.
You bring up a good point, though. That fight that you saw last week was another, epic heavyweight 12-round title fight. And the fact that he came out with something around his jaw shows that maybe, and that's not something that you'd want a guy that's not fully healthy to be going in, likely to end up maybe seeing a guy like Josh Manson in the corner and throwing down. But here's what Lowry had to say on Scheifele and Morgan Barron fighting in back-to-back games.
I just think it's guys standing up for themselves and their teammates. Obviously with Mark fighting against Vegas, generally we want him staying out of the box and scoring goals, and he plays big minutes for us. And Bear's really, I think, taking another step this year, and physicality, playing hard, and didn't like to hit and stood up for himself. So an unfortunate result at the end of the fight, but a lot of respect earned from guys in the room for going up against a real tough customer in Josh, and just playing hard right till the end.
When I look at the way the Jets are built right now, and you look at I think about the depth players on Tampa. I think about what Bones has going on in Columbus. I look at what the Buffalo Sabres have, which is absolutely a pack mentality. And they do have players that, are able to contribute. They're not complete slugs, but they have that edge. To be honest, players with size and toughness that can play might be right now one of the most scarce assets. Certainly it is here. And I think you can look at a lot of teams that are really skilled. I can point out a few of them that are in the Jets neighborhood right now in the standings that do not have that. And I got thinking about Jeff Malott last night. In fact, I said to my friend that I was sitting at the game with after the whole Barron thing, I would love for Barron to hook up with this old pal Malott and maybe get in the gym or have some consulting from brother Mike, who will be headlining the UFC card here in Winnipeg on April 18th. Because a guy like that's 6'4", if he had a little bit more confidence to do that, or maybe be an aggressor, God forbid, somebody on the Jets be not just reacting to everybody else, but being the one that is, starting stuff or being just having that club in their bag. And then I leave the game last night, and I'm watching the late games, and Jeff Malott is trying to kill 3 guys on Vancouver last night. And I think it's a big reason why he's found a spot and is a regular with the Los Angeles Kings. I'll be honest, when we're talking about a lot of difference of the changing around some of the depth players on the Jets, I would love to see Jeff Malott come back and be on the Jets. And it's a fourth line role. A guy that could, I guarantee you he would have had Morgan Barron's back last night. Here's the quote that Connor was just talking about from Lowry. This is the question: if teams are taking liberties with the Jets players after the trade to Buffalo with Stan and Shen.
I think it's a team toughness perspective. I don't necessarily, think any additional liberties. Guys are going to play our star players hard. It was Brett Howden that Mark fought. It wasn't like it was, a real seasoned fighter. Just a guy playing hard, and he catches one of our best players, and our other best player doesn't like it. So, and then the Manson one, I think that's just 2 big bodies. Obviously Bear was upset with the hit, and it was penalized as I think it should have been for interference. I think that's another one, a guy standing up for himself, doesn't want to give an inch. I think losing those guys, we lose some of the fighting aspect, but I don't think there's a ton of that in the game anymore, and we're comfortable with the guys we have in the room that if the game goes that way, there's some of us that know we can step up and handle that business.
Howden is a good example of one of those players. He's a depth player on, Vegas. We know that Vegas plays with an edge. And he's not a guy that you just think of, he's fighting all the time. But, he's got 3 fights in the last month. Hell, he's got 3 fights in the last 2 weeks. He fought Krebs in the Buffalo game. He fought Yanni Gourde when they were playing Tampa. And Gourde, another player. You don't think of him as doing that, but willing to step up. And then obviously the Scheifele one earlier this week. So there's a lot of areas where I think this team needs to change up things. But, having an edge, like if you have players like that, the Rosines, the Lamberts, the Kyle Connors, I think play with look. They're a few inches taller out there, if you know what I mean. And, whether that is from a guy that can come in, like it's not about having guys that can just fight. Like it's not, listen, I would love and I hope that Tyrell Bauer gets an opportunity and he shows that he can be an option. But you have to be able to play regularly. And that's something that Malott has shown that he's been able to do this year in Los Angeles, and also has a bite to his game and certainly isn't going to back down. So just add this, Connor, to the long list of things that you would like to see improved on this roster in what could be, a pivotal offseason.
Yeah, and I think you hit the right point there, Huss, where they got to be able to play. Like I think it's okay to say that it was right to trade Stanley and Shen, and the Jets also need more team toughness going forward. Like I think both of those things can be true. Yeah,
I'm not having buyer's remorse or seller's remorse here. That was what the organization had to do. We understood what was going on, where they were in the standings. Playoffs were highly unlikely. You traded away what you did last year to get those guys. And Shen's a perfect example of a guy. He's a great locker room guy. He is tough as hell, but he had a tough time. Like I thought he was killing the team more often than not when he was out there. So, there is a give and take, but to me, and this goes back to Bones. Bones changed the mentality of that team, and it didn't turn, all these guys into scrappers all the time, but it was an attitude, if you will, that just, I don't know. And it's tough to completely change when you lose your 2 toughest guys. And then all of a sudden everyone's supposed to be, but it was so glaring last night. And it's been the case a few times. Like the Barron thing was one, but Cole Perfetti in the third period, and I loved it. It was kind of like a little bit more prick-fetty, if you recall, when he's played some of his best thing. Like he was really getting into it, but he was taking a lot from like 4 different guys on that team. And, that's a time where you'd love to at least have somebody to roll in and just give a guy a shot or something like that, saying like, hey, F off. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but at the same time, like Cole Perfetti's a 5'11" winger in the National Hockey League. He's going to get whacked around. Like that's going to happen. I get your point that like, yeah, he's playing on a line with Adam Lowry. So yeah, get Adam Lowry to go up to Josh Manson and give him a little shove, or whoever threw that hit or is given a whack to Cole Perfetti. But yeah, I think the seller's remorse part of it, Huss, is the important part of this, because I even saw a little bit of reaction last night, and credit to Mike who asked the question to Lowry. Like I did see comments saying like, oh, well, we traded away all of our team toughness. It's like, well, you can't really afford that luxury when you're 27th in the National Hockey League and the playoffs are as unlikely as they are. And Adam Lowry today talking about, how it's a team toughness perspective, I think is the biggest thing there. Like Roseanne and Lambert don't have to be goons. They don't have to fight, right? But in that scenario, yeah, just create a scrum, grab a guy, just kind of create chaos in that moment. That's team toughness. That's sticking up for your teammate and not fully dropping the gloves with Nikita Zadorov or with Arbor Jacki. Like you don't need to fight the toughest customers in the NHL to show team toughness. There's other ways to do it. And I even thought Cole Perfetti, to give him a little bit of credit, throwing some big hits, battling for pucks last night, I think he showed a little bit of that team toughness.
Oh, I loved it.
In the third, yeah, exactly.
Like in the third,
and he's like the smallest, lightest player on the team. Like I don't think it's you have to be Tyrell Bauer or you're not tough. Like there's so much discourse being missed in the team toughness thing. But the Winnipeg Jets, that has been instilled in their culture, right? With Rick Bowness coming in, that was the mantra. And Morgan Barron sticking up for himself last night. And that's going to be a conversation that we'll probably have again in the final 10 games here. And then in the offseason, like you said, Huss, the long shopping list for the Winnipeg Jets, that'll be on it as well.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. So tell us about I guess there was no coach today, which was interesting. I guess Arnie was tied up or getting ready to hit the road. But we did get 2 call-ups. As I mentioned, Bauer was not one of them, but Zhilkin and Ford coming up on emergency recalls. So important to note, they don't count as one of the 3 remaining recalls that the Winnipeg Jets have for these final 10 games. So what did we learn?
Yes, important to note that for sure. And we did get word as well. We didn't hear from Scott O'Neill, like you said, but the Jets team told us that the explanation for the 2 emergency recalls is that the Jets have been at 12 forwards. There's a chance they will not be at 12 forwards next game. Therefore, both are for emergency reasons. So to me, there might be more than one question mark here. Obviously, Morgan Barron. So that's one emergency recall. There might be another one. So there might be a player that's also not available for Saturday against Colorado. But again, we didn't hear from Scott O'Neill today. So that's just speculation. And we'll see if these players slot into the lineup and if there are any lineup questions when the team goes to Colorado. But for Ford and Zhilkin, I mean, 2 players that Ford's been up earlier. He was up way earlier in the year. Zhilkin was up a little bit more recent. 2 players that can come right into the bottom 6, provide speed, forechecking. They've produced at the AHL level in their roles. And 2 players that when they went down to the AHL, didn't sulk about it, worked their tail off, and now are back up with the team and bring a speed element as well. You know, I think if you bring in a Danny Zhilkin and play him with a Brad Lambert and an Isak Rosen, like that's a fast trio. You can put Parker Ford in both at center and on the wing. There's some versatility there as well. So for the Winnipeg Jets, makes sense to call up both of those players. I do think it's valuable to note as well, Huss. I know a lot of people wanted Tyrell Bauer. I'd be lying if I said I didn't want him for Saturday as well. He did get in that huge fight against the Tucson Roadrunners. I think it was you were mentioning
Saturday.
It. Yeah,
Remis was at the game. I mean,
right.
He was in the middle of a 7-year-old birthday party watching Bauer and that other monster square off.
And all the kids are chanting, fight, 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 right?
I don't know if I knew what was going on. It was pretty funny. I mean, the Moose is great. A lot of families there Sunday afternoon, like first thing in the game, Bauer's going on this extended tilt, so it's certainly great entertainment.
I will say this. So I was texting him, like, hey, you guys having fun at the game? He's like, oh, yeah, Bauer just had a monster fight. He goes, oh, I got something to show you. So they were sitting like basically right at center. And it's a video of these guys just throwing these haymakers. And then he just shifts the side to these 7-year-olds that are just sitting there like not really sure what they're watching. And then back to the action at center ice. It was pretty funny, but I mean,
on the point of Bauer, my point is that their next game, he wasn't in the lineup, and Daniel Fink tweeted that Alphonse Frey was out to illness and Tyrell Bauer was unavailable as well. Don't know if that was illness or related to the fight. You know, pretty heavyweight tilt, could have injured his hand, could have injured his face, anything, right? So,
well, he came
I think
back
it's worth
to
noting
the game with a with a
shield
or like
something
around.
I think it's worth noting that he might not be 100% healthy, and you don't want to call him up to fight
No, listen, I mean, that would be irresponsible. It would be unfair to the player because like the second that guy gets an opportunity to play in an NHL game,
he's fighting.
He is going to do whatever he can to be noticed and to try to prove his worth, and that will be one of them. But dare to dream a healthy Tyrell Bauer in that frickin' lineup tomorrow to tap 42 on the shoulder. And he'll be coming with more than anyone. Let me hit you with the why not question of the day. Current Jet roster. Adam Lowry obviously is the most experienced fighter. I mean, the guy that's stuck up for his teammates a number of times. He would be the guy. Who's number 2 right now on the Jets?
Mark Scheifele. I'll say Neil Pionk, I think, actually is my answer. In terms of like he probably doesn't have the career fights. I don't know how many fights Neil Pionk has off the top of my head in his NHL career, but he's got the plays with an edge. You know, he's always in the scrum. He's always chirping the other team when they're too close to Hellebuck after the whistle and all that stuff. So I'd go Neil Pionk. But yeah, Mark Scheifele has like 10 career fights, 4 career Gordie Howes. Like I guess he gets considered for that. But yeah, I'd go with Neil Pionk. Yeah, there you go.
That is.
I mean,
I
kind of said that jokingly and like recency bias.
No, but I
would go with Neil Pionk.
Pionk was the only guy I could really come up with as well. He plays with some piss and vinegar. We all remember that epic tilt on December 29th against Nuge.
Epic.
But I was having some fun with Awanik today on the Lock Shop talking about that one. But anyways, we're going to get into this with Ken, and we're also going to kind of step away from that particular topic and look ahead to this offseason. Interesting stuff from Elliot Friedman today on 32 Thoughts, so we'll drop that for you as well. But Connor, enjoy opening night tonight, and we'll look forward to catching up with you next week, and of course tomorrow and Sunday morning to talk about the rematch between these teams in Denver, 9 a.m. on Sunday right here on WST.
Yeah, and I'm sure Liz and I will get into a lot of those off-season conversations as well. So thanks, Huss. You enjoy the baseball as well this weekend. And Kenny, enjoy the baseball. Happy belated birthday to Mr. Wiebe as well. Saw him at the rink this week, but wanted to say that live on the show. Enjoy the baseball, fellas.
Perfect.
See you later.
Thanks so much. All right, Weber is warming up that rubber arm in the bullpen. He will join us in just a minute as WST continues. Princess Auto is a proud sponsor of Winnipeg Sports Talk, and in a lot of ways synonymous with Winnipeg, headquartered here in the Peg, founded here in Winnipeg, and now serving Canadians coast to coast with the best deals on the most unique assortment of tools and equipment around. Everything you need to complete the projects on your list or start something new is at Princess Auto. So while we wait for the Bombers to kick off, get ready for spring. Those projects on your list with great deals throughout the month waiting for you at your local Princess Auto, Panet Road, Portage Avenue West in the city, out in Brandon. And you can always shop online 24 hours a day at princessauto.com. Spring is just around the corner, and our friends at Chud's Power Sports up in Gimli, Manitoba's power sports superstar, are ready to get this snow out of here. But before we do that, great end-of-season deals on sleds and snowmobiles that you can check out. But as we get excited for the snow to leave, great preseason deals on motorcycles of all brands, the best in ATVs and side-by-sides, not to mention golf carts for the summer up ahead as well. And it doesn't stop there. Amazing RV options for you to take advantage of the summer, and so many options when it comes to boats as well, in addition to outboard motors from Suzuki and Mercury. The best deals in town. That's how they've been in business as Manitoba's power sports superstore for 80 years. Pop out and see him in Gimli at the corner of Highway 8 and 231, and shop online today at their website at chudspowersports.com. Manitoba Battery is your local option for the best prices in batteries for all of your battery needs, whether it's getting your car and truck through the teeth of the Manitoba winter, or as we warm things up and get ready to have some fun, the best in batteries for motorcycles, ATVs, boats, and more. If it needs a battery, Manitoba Battery has it, and Donnie and his amazing staff will not only provide you the best in customer service that you won't see at the big box stores, they'll beat the pants off the big box stores in price. Shop local, save money, and get the best in customer service for all your battery needs at Manitoba Battery. Now with 2 locations in Winnipeg, Logan Avenue and Dovercourt Drive, they'll also save you time and deliver those batteries to you citywide, anywhere inside the perimeter. You can shop online as well at manitobabattery.com today. All right, Weber is about to join us. This segment brought to you by GMC. Truck Month is on now at GMC. If you want something reliable, tough, and ready for whatever the schedule throws at you, that's the 2026 Sierra 1500 Pro Graphite Crew Cab in a nutshell. It can be yours today, and you can get a $6,000 cash purchase credit with a factory 2-inch lift, off-road suspension, and a 5.3-liter V8. This is one ready for anything truck. Don't miss out. Get your local GMC dealer and take advantage of Truck Month before it ends. What a beautiful rig. The belated birthday boy comes in. Did you get a 2026 Sierra for your birthday this week? Congratulations on another trip around the sun.
Yes, thank you, Andrew. No new vehicles parked. I do have the Chevrolet Malibu, so I have the GMC support on that front, I guess.
So listen, what'd you make of last night? Obviously the Avalanche, very, very good team. Jets sort of hung in. Third period sort of, I think, exposed a few things that we've been talking about on the roster that, kind of lean into conversations about next year. But last night in a nutshell from you.
Yeah, fun game. This is probably another great example, Huss, of if that had been the type of game played a whole lot in December and January, you wouldn't be talking about the predicament the Jets find themselves in, Huss. So again, a lot of good for them. Even game for the most part through two periods. One of the best players on the planet took over in the third, I guess you would say. Jets still kind of fought back, but yeah, I mean, ultimately they had trouble getting the set up and couldn't get the goalie out and couldn't find the equalizer. And, power play, which has, not been... Last year, the Jets' power play was its superpower, Huss, right? So structure was there, goaltending was there, depth scoring was there. But, I mean, top-ranked power plays certainly helped them on some nights where they didn't have it, Huss. This was a night where they did have it in terms of structure and play and, scoring chance generation. But the power play was unable to deliver for them. So, yeah, I mean, the Jets played well, Huss, but there haven't been enough of those type 10-played games, whether it's against the best team in the league or, team that's in 25th or 27th. So, interesting game. See how they respond. I mean, I know you guys have been talking a lot about the fight. I mean, I give Morgan Barron a lot of credit for taking the fight, Huss, but I don't know. I don't want him taking that fight. Now, again, easy for me to say. I followed the Avalanche a lot, Huss. I was there when they won their Stanley Cup championship. I watched Josh Manson a lot during the course of his career. The willingness is impressive, but Josh Manson is someone who is one of the toughest players in the National Hockey League. I know there's been a lot of discourse on the old socials and today and other days, but I mean, Josh Manson is someone who has the type of right hand that can knock somebody out and concuss them.
Yeah, we saw that last night.
And yeah, I mean, it's a scary thing for Morgan Barron because he's been playing some of his best hockey of his entire career, Huss. And now it looks like, his best season is going to be derailed. We don't know how long, whether it's going to be the full 10 games or if it's just, if his symptoms subside fairly quickly, maybe he gets some more games this year. But, Josh Manson is a very tough customer and, Morgan did a great job of hanging in for a good chunk of that fight. But then, then you saw Manson's experience. Morgan opened himself up and Josh nailed him right on the chin. And that's a scary thing. And we've been talking about fighting a lot this week, team togetherness, all those things, Mark Scheifele stepping up to the plate and all those things. But this is the other part of fighting that can leave kind of some lingering impacts, I guess.
Well, I mean, I guess the thing that first of all irks me, and maybe it's just that I've been watching so much of these games out in the East, Tampa and Buffalo and Columbus. I mean, hell, the Oilers-Vegas game last night, the Kings and the Canucks, it was rough and nasty, and Jeff Malott was right in the middle of it. I think there's a lot of coaches in the NHL that would see a hit like that on a guy that's been so important and would expect the other four guys to be in there as well. Now,
Rosine, Lambert,
Brad Lambert.
No.
I know, and I guess that's the question. Like, I'll say one thing about those guys. If they had done that, and again, even if you're just going and grabbing and holding on for dear life, showing support, that would help those guys big time when it comes to their spot on the team going into next year, because they would know they have that. DeMella's a veteran, Fleury's a veteran. Those guys were out there as well. I mean, there's a lot of teams where there is an expectation that guys would be there for Morgan Barron in that fashion. And I felt sorry for him because there was absolutely no backup. He gets absolutely trucked on a BS hit, as I said before. And do you just let yourself get emasculated? Sometimes you got to stick up for yourself, but especially considering the nature of that hit, it would have been nice to have. And again, I'm not saying these guys should all drop their gloves and pair off with someone, but Rick Bowness always said it. You run it one of us, you run it all of us. And it just seems like that does not exist right now on this team.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say that, Huss. I mean, they were literally one game removed from Scheifele fighting when Kyle Connor was hit. So I think that I don't see this as that sort of scenario. It was a massive hit, you're right. But I think that's one of those scenarios, given the magnitude of the game and where things were at, you can get in Josh Manson's face, but you take a number, right? I mean, that's a situation where, especially under the circumstances, and again, I'm not, this is not a directly complaint to Morgan Barron, but when a team is going to play Colorado 2 days from then, Huss, I mean, that's a situation where you take a number, you get in Josh's face, you say that's not acceptable. You don't need to necessarily drop the mitts and fight him there. I totally understand why Morgan would do that. He's an incredibly intense, competitive person. And Huss, a day earlier, Morgan was one of the guys talking about Mark Scheifele. And, again, in some ways, I think this is, you can get motivated to fight when you see your best player drop in the gloves one game sooner, right? So I think there's some spillover from that. So anyways, I mean, fighting, it's a big debate. We understand. But yeah, I mean, it's a tough circumstance, definitely for Barron. But again, if you look around, like there isn't an obvious person who's stepping in and saying, Josh Manson, I've got you on the next face-off or whatever, or after the minor penalty is over. And I'm not even sure Manson really wanted to go in that scenario, Huss, initially. So anyways, it's the natural response is going to be Adam Lowry will be fighting Josh Manson on Saturday night is my best guess. But, when the circumstances are and the timing of that, I mean, we'll have to see how the game unfolds. Like this is a big, it's a much bigger game for Winnipeg than it is for Colorado. Now that Colorado has widened the gap. Yeah, widened the gap to 9 games.
Oh, we're still talking about playoffs?
No, I'm just talking in general for the Jets. There's still, for them until they get the E beside them, the game is probably more important to them. I mean, Adam is going to fight Josh Manson, Huss. There's no doubt about it. And again, I understand folks are going crazy. Call up Tyrell Bauer. Tyrell Bauer didn't dress last night, and I assume it's because of injury. So,
did you see his fight on last Saturday?
I did. Yes,
yeah,
impressive.
For sure that he came back to the game afterwards with something on, and it would be derelict and irresponsible to have him out there if he's not 100%, because you know what's going to happen if he's out there.
Let me ask you one other thing just quickly. I mean, and Bauer would certainly be willing to take the fight, and I'm sure he would be fine. But people who think that Tyrell Bauer is automatically going to dust Josh Manson, I would suggest you spend some time watching Josh Manson's hockey fights videos. Again, that's not a knock on Bauer, but Josh Manson knocked out Jamie Benn, who is also one of the toughest guys in the National Hockey League. So again, I assume Tyrell would be willing and able if he were healthy, but let's sort of keep things on the rails here. Like it's
okay. Well, this brings me to this question. And I was saying to you before we came on, and I asked this, and I don't know where people have figured it out. Like after Adam Lowry, who's next up? And it is a bit of a super stumper. How important is it in the offseason to add a couple of players with that club in their bag? Obviously, they need to be able to play, but it can't just be the Adam Lowry show on that. And, based on the season and what he's been through, I don't think you want your captain being out there and being your policeman as well. Just your thoughts. I mean, is that a glaring hole right now in this roster?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, Huss, right? I mean, I do think that if you can add a player that can play, I mean, I talked about Mark Kastelik, I think, with you last week, Huss, after the Jets' tough loss to Boston. If you can find a player like that who can get you 8 to 12 goals and is willing to drop the mitts and be an effective player on the fourth line, or, some guys can play on the third line and be a really good checker, absolutely, add them. But guess what, Huss? It's not like there's 50 of these guys available to be signed or traded for, right? It's sort of still a unique commodity. And I mean, Sean and I were talking about this the other day. I mean, there aren't a ton of this isn't a club that all players have in the bag anymore, Huss. I mean, depending on what league you grew up playing in, yes, there was some expectation there was going to be some fighting, but there aren't a ton of, there's been such an emphasis on skill development, as there should be, that I don't know that there are, 20 of those guys that you can go out and identify and say, even if you're going around the American League and saying, oh, well, that guy's willing to go, that guy's willing to go. I know there are some guys out there that are tough and willing to fight, but yeah, I mean, I think it's on the wish list, Huss, but again, I don't, I'm not 100% sure, but I mean, you know, now that we're talking about it, you know, Ryan Reaves is a guy who's close to 1,000 games, Huss. I mean, would it make sense for Ryan Reaves to be added to the roster? I mean, I'm not sure. I'm just saying that is a player who will be a UFA. I do think the Sharks would probably try to sign him and keep him around, but I mean, is that what you're at? Like, is that the type of player we're looking at? Or looking at someone who
heavyweights?
Who plays a bit more?
The guy that I loved here, and you know, got a couple of call-ups and has now become a regular in LA, is Jeff Mawad.
Right, but he wasn't fighting with the Moose, Huss, at the time. I don't remember him fighting 5 times a year with the Moose. Do you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, he had 82 minutes last year.
No, but when he was in the Jets organization, that wasn't. I don't remember. He was their leading scorer with the Moose. I don't remember him fighting 5-6 times a year.
Well, we'll go back. I bet it would be right around there, okay, if it wasn't. And I mean, if I recall correctly, I think he had a scrap with the Jets when he got called up as well. Now, again, the bottom line is we've got a guy that's played every game this year, just about, that has 1 goal and has done nothing. Like, if that bottom, like those bottom couple players could come in that you could mix up a little bit in the lineup, that would add maybe an inch or two to a few other guys on the roster, I think it would be big. And I know you want size of defensemen. I guess the frustration is and this is just for me, and I'm sure that some people share this, some people think Huss, you're an idiot. But man, if this team's going to be at the bottom of the standings, can we at least not get pushed around? Because at times that certainly has been the case, in my opinion, since the trade. And I get it. There's no seller's remorse. They had to do that deal. But to me, it was an opportunity maybe for, you know, some guys to step up. And I just don't know whether there is enough of that on this team right now. And the bottom line is you can be way more skilled than another team, but if they can push you around, it's very, very difficult to win consistently. Certainly when we're talking about the playoffs. And I'm telling right now, if you haven't been watching the rest of the league right now, it's ramped up in a lot of these races to playoff levels. And there is a lot of action after the whistle in so many of these games right now. And the Jets just don't match up, in my opinion, on that. And that is something that is a problem.
Well, just quickly, Huss, I mean, let's just look at Colorado directly. I mean, Josh Manson's a heavy, yes, bona fide heavy. He's also a guy who's spent the majority of his career playing on the second pairing, or even in Anaheim on the top pairing. But outside of Josh Manson, who else is dropping the gloves for Colorado? I mean, they have some guys that are willing, but it's not like they've got a line of goons running around, running the Jets out of the rink. I mean, they've got guys that play the game hard, but I mean, it's not like they have 3 or 4 guys that would be in the sort of policeman role, right? I mean, they have team toughness, but
that's what I'm talking about. Like, it's that team toughness, and I don't. It's hard to make an argument right now that, in my opinion, that the Jets are there. I mean, man, you got Ross Colton. I mean, Kadri, Brock Nelson's a big guy. I mean, it's not like he's going to fight, but he'll certainly stand up for himself. And again, they all get in there. I don't know what it is, and maybe I've watched a lot of Columbus lately and see the effect that Bones has had on that team, and I remember what he did to Winnipeg and how he pounded the table and said, you know what, you run it one of us, you run it all of us, and then I think about Morgan Barron getting carried off last night, and it just is an issue. Anyways, I mean,
that just doesn't. I don't think it's happened an abundance of times this year, but again, as you mentioned, I mean, when Stanley and Schenn were around, I mean, there were 2 other heavyweights there essentially, right? So you went basically going from 3 to 1.
It absolutely, but I mean, even those guys were third pairing defensemen. I mean, like, I think you need that amongst your forward group, guys that are on the ice. I mean, it can't just be, oh, this is going to happen. Geez, we got to get that guy out there for this one particular thing. It's also a style of play that the good teams and the teams that are going to be playing in June or late May pretty much all have.
Yeah, I mean, Ross Johnston, look at him, Huss. I mean, he's a guy who's, I wondered it when the Jets were in Anaheim, that if he might be one of the guys coming out when Troy Terry was coming back in, and, guys that cover the team are like, no chance Ross is coming out. No. He's a guy who plays his 10 minutes, is an effective fourth line player that can move around, physical guy, takes the body, and is willing to throw down when necessary. So, who knows? I'd have to scour the list a little bit closer, Huss, but yeah, I mean, I wouldn't imagine that the Jets would be looking at a middleweight for sure, and maybe a heavy that can play some minutes for him.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Well, listen, there's a lot of questions about what happens in the final 10 games, where the team finishes, all of that. But it's very clear that after such a disappointing season, regardless of the final 10 games, that there are a number of things on the to-do list. I think if you just stand back and watch the Jets, we'll get this Elliott clip up if you can. So Friedman just kind of touched on the Jets quickly with their predicament when he was going through the teams in the race. Just for people that didn't hear it, this was from 32 Thoughts this morning.
The one thing I think about the Jets is they've had a couple times where they've gotten close and they're still 5 points out. They have a couple times where they've gotten close, Kyle, and they've never really made a run at it. It's the one thing, and I know they feel this way internally, that this was, they were so good last year. President's Trophy, wire to wire, Hellebuck MVP, and Hellebuck gets hurt this year, and it kind of wipes out a chunk of their season, and they say, we're better than this. But the one thing I just haven't liked about them, Kyle, is that they've gotten close a couple times, and they've never really climbed the mountain. They've never really put the pressure on. And if you think your team is better than it's shown, and this is kind of a bit of a negative year, just fluke-wise, you think, though, that when you get these moments, you kind of put a bit more pressure on. So I'm not calling them out, but I really don't like their position.
Yeah, well, listen, the position is what it is, and I think we all know what the situation is. But Ken, are you of the opinion that the org goes into the offseason kind of looking for a mulligan with the majority of the team, or do you look back and say, you know what, there's some pretty significant changes that need to be made?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that it's interesting, right? So, we talked earlier right off the top. So if the Jets can, hang with Colorado, they recently beat them. Now they're, are you thinking that the roster's closer than you thought it was before? I mean, I think you've got to zoom out the lens. We often talk about recency bias. So, to Elliott's point, and for folks who don't know, when the Jets pulled within 5 for the first time, Elliott predicted the Jets would still make the playoffs, and I've spoken to him about this. He believed that their roster was good enough to be in the playoffs and be a playoff team. So, this isn't someone who's just out here saying, "Oh, well, the Jets have stubbed their toe recently." I mean, this is someone who believed that they had the talent to get over the line.
Well, the other part of it too is the teams that they've been chasing aren't very good either, to be frank.
Well, they certainly have flaws, right? So, but Huss, I mean, this goes back, and I'll get back to the original question in a second. This goes back to the Nashville game. The Jets thoroughly outplayed their opponent, but in getting 1, they gave up 2. So they win that game in regulation. All of a sudden, we're looking at it's a 2-point gap instead of 5, right? Or 3 point, whatever the math is. It's
right, 2 instead of 5.
Right. That's what I mean. So, I mean, so now all of a sudden, are we saying the Jets are good and because they lost, they're terrible? The truth is somewhere
We've
in
got
the
a
middle.
72 game sample size here.
Right. Yes, exactly. But what I'm saying is, to your question, I mean, if the Jets want to be a Stanley Cup contender, which they do, we know they do, and we know they have a core that they believe in, then yes, there needs to be more than, rubbing around the edges or, sanding around the corner here and hoping that's going to be better. So there are a lot of good pieces in place. I don't think that we should ignore that either. But at the same time, if the team wants to be competing with the likes of Colorado, Minnesota, Dallas, and the teams in the Pacific Division in the Western Conference, they're going to need to have some significant upgrades. So, what those look like and what is available, we know it's not a bumper crop of UFAs. So that means that Kevin Cheveldayoff's going to have to get creative with trades. For the Jets, I think their best opportunity to have an influx of talent to the top 6 would be to pick in the top 5. So, and as much as the push and pull, and you've talked about it openly as a fan of the team. I mean, the tank versus trying to get to the playoffs. I think most people are back to leaning towards missing. And us, even though the Jets have played well coming into the Olympic break, they're still 7th last in the NHL with 10 to go. So it can still go either way to a degree. But they're not that far out of, it's not like they've won they've won too many games to get a top 5 pick. Like that's just not true. And we know that there's an element of luck with the lottery balls also. But the Jets need to add to the top 6, and they need their bottom 6 to be better, Huss. I mean, those are 2 important things. Elias Salomonson has had a great year in establishing himself as a top 4 defenseman, but the defense corps still needs improvement, Huss. That's also a fact. So, and we know that the goaltending is solid with Hellebuyck, and Comrie is a good candidate to be brought back. And again, digging under his.
Oh, did we just lose Ken? We've got.
I think we lost Ken. Yeah, we lost. Oh, he's back.
Oops, am I back? Sorry, Huss.
Yeah, you're back. I don't know what happened there. You're
sorry
on a roll.
about that. Sorry on the freeze. Yeah. So the goaltending situation is stable, and Eric Comrie as a backup, as if you look at his numbers as a backup rather than the 11 out of 12 that he started in a row, those numbers kind of inflate the overall numbers. But I expect that he's going to be under consideration. So the goaltending position is solid, we think, as long as it's Comrie or someone relatively similar in that role. But we think it'll be Comrie.
Goaltending's the last.
Goaltending is exactly.
So Jets.
Exactly. So that means find a way to help augment the defense, and you're going to have to improve the forward group. Now, again, could that be from a top 5 pick or a top 3 pick even, Huss? That would be a very fast injection. The other part of that is, we've seen this week, Brad Lambert seems to be turning a page. So if Brad Lambert can stretch that out over, an 82 game schedule rather than just a, 15 game sample, now we'll see what happens in terms of adding that speed element that was lacking and then being able to add some of the complementary scoring. Isak Rosen, I think, has shown some flashes, needs a little bit more consistency and needs to. So this is a guy that's got a great shot. I watched him with Morgan Barron the other day at the optional. Guy can really shoot it, but he needs to get more shot attempts. So there are pieces there that are, under consideration, obviously. There's other guys in the system that need a good summer in order to push, but yeah, there's going to have to be outside help. That's my long-winded way of saying that's definitely something that they got to be looking at. And then see where some of the other, you've been asking everybody, Huss. I mean, to me, I agree. Brad Lambert, these last 10 games, they're massive for him. He can't win a job in these last 10 games, but he can certainly put himself in the driver's seat, because if he doesn't show that he can handle the minutes, then the Jets will have to be looking elsewhere in the offseason. And I think that Brad is starting to maybe sway some people that were on the other side of the fence with the way that he's played, his willingness to go on the inside like he did on Lozon. Things like that. But again, it's small sample still. Do it for 10 more games and leave them something to think about going into the off season. And for Brad himself, knowing that he's going to be here for those last 10 games, he needs to, seize the day here and show people that he's an NHLer now and he wants to be an NHLer here and be part of the solution.
Just on the defense, I am 100% with you. I don't know how they do it unless they go and trade. All 6 guys that played last night are signed for next year. So, yep. I guess you're adding a guy, moving Fleury down would be a positive, I guess. But again, there is a lot of work to do. Remo, if you can, I want to play this clip from yesterday. Number 2. This is Arneal when he was asked about Elias Salomonson in the season and the impact that he's had. Remo, if you can play that, we'll talk about it after.
We knew we had a young defenseman coming, and we knew there was a player there. It had to happen a lot faster this year than we had thought. But great on him. He's the one that's taken advantage of it. And we knew the skill set was there, the hockey IQ, the feet, all that stuff. And he's just like you see around the league. Some young guys get opportunity and take advantage of it. And he's done that.
Arnie was pretty clear that it wasn't the plan to have him here this year, and now we've seen him. I'm wondering, and listen, the Jets have been criticized in the past for blocking their prospects and not getting them up. I guess the question is, Do you think what they've seen from Elias, the way that he's played, how he's helped the team since he's been in ahead of their schedule might affect their line of thinking moving forward on younger players as opposed to what we've seen under this regime?
Yeah, it's just in terms of context. I was there for the question Murad asked, and I think that part of the thing that's been either missing in the interpretation is it's not that they weren't expecting him to maybe push for a job this year. They weren't expecting him to be able to handle top 4 minutes, was my interpretation of what Scott was saying. Obviously, we know that they weren't counting on him out of training camp. That's true. Nobody's disputing that whatsoever. But I think that their internal hope as an organization was that he would be pushing to force his way into the lineup. I just don't think that they were expecting him to be able to play those top 4 minutes and essentially play so well with Dylan Sandberg that they have bumped their regular top pairing guy into the third pairing. So, but Huss, in terms of organizational thinking, I mean, Solomonson is a unicorn in relation to most of the prospects that are in with the Moose right now. He was the most advanced prospect when he came over to the Manitoba Moose to begin with, because he'd already played 2 or 3 pro seasons in Sweden. So the Jets most of the Jets guys down in the farm right now that are in the top prospect category are first-year professionals. So I don't think this is I know a lot of people are trying to suggest that, just give everyone a chance and look, they'll be like Solomonson and show that they belong. And I would counter by saying Solomonson showed he belonged because he played the best out of all the prospects that are there. If Colby Barlow was playing at the level of Elias Solomonson, or if Braden Yager was playing at that level, then absolutely the door would fly open and they would say, come on down and show us what you got. So, and again, I'm not knocking the prospects. It's a long journey for most guys. And we understand there are guys making impacts around the league that are young players. And I think that those players are still on track to be impactful players, but it's just their development curve is different than Solomonson's. I mean, Solomonson, nobody else had the experience of Solomonson even before last year, let alone this year. So he was always the most advanced out of those players. Lambert, you could argue Lambert, but Lambert had 2 off years at the American League level, whereas Solomonson has been thriving the entire time and handling those top line responsibilities.
Well, I would say, I think Brad Lambert's looked a lot better since he's been in the National Hockey League.
Sure,
than he was in the AHL.
Sure.
And Elias has been there the whole time.
Just quickly on Lambert, I'm going to use this analogy, Husson. Just, you were around the American League a long time and I covered it for a decade. It's people wondering and saying automatically Lambert would have been better in the NHL. That's not accurate. But what you're seeing is that it's far less chaotic at the NHL level, Huss. We know this from watching the games closely. The skill level is so much higher, so a player who's skilled and fast can adapt and play better at the higher level because he's playing with better players. The counter to that argument would be that the coaches wanted him to help make the people around him better and have him have a higher impact. So, again, we know that if Lambert had played more, maybe he makes a bigger impact. But to me, Solomonson forced the issue, and Lambert didn't force it as well as Solomonson. But now that he's got the opportunity, Lambert deserves an incredible amount of credit for showing his ability. Now he's got to do it on a consistent level to put his stamp on being in that spot.
Listen, all of that is fair, and I actually don't disagree with most of it. The only thing that I'll say, like when we look back at the autopsy of this year and all the points that were left on the table and the losses earlier on this season, the struggles that Luke Schenn in particular had playing on the right side, I can make an argument that if they had not already decided before things even got going that he was going to be with the Moose and had an opportunity and they realized this earlier, that the Jets might be in a significantly better situation today than they find themselves.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that completely, Huss. But then going back to what the other part of the components are, how many other times do the Jets run out of the rink if Logan Stanley and Luke Schenn aren't in the lineup, right? So now you have a little bit of a push and pull there. And the other part about this too, Huss, Solomonson didn't have a great camp. We were there watching it. If he had had a better camp, if he doesn't get sick, maybe he would have forced his way onto the team and earlier on. But I said this to you when he got his first call up. I think people are underestimating the benefits for Elias Solomonson of playing those, 30 plus games with the Moose in a top pairing role, playing 25 minutes rather than getting his, 12 to 14 minutes in the NHL. When, I mean, we talked about this in camp, Huss. He could have handled the minutes, but the developmental benefits of spending some additional time are now coming to fruition. Now, I get it. If you're a Jets fan, you think, well, you could have just fast forwarded that time and he would have been great from the beginning. And maybe, we won't be able to rewind and check it out. But the fact that Solomonson is now, Solomonson's game was chaotic in those first 5 games also, but now he's also been able to stabilize, which is, again, is a testament to him, his total package, his ability to skate, and, all of those things. But again, there's also things that mistakes that a young player is going to make, like yesterday when he lost Jack Drury in front of the net and when he shot the puck over the glass for the power play goal. I mean, you don't blame him. He's playing hard, but mistakes happen with young players. And some of those mistakes obviously all happen with experienced guys, but Solomonson is playing great. Huss, he should not, the only reason he's going back is to help the Manitoba Moose, but this guy's an NHL player and he's shown many signs that he should be a top 4 player starting next season.
Yeah, good stuff. All right, Wiebe, great chat as always, pal. I hope you have extended birthday celebrations going through the weekend. Are you off? Are you on this roadie or?
Yeah, I'm not going to Denver, but I'll be on the last 3 games, Chicago, Dallas, and Columbus here. So it should be a fun week ahead. A rare travel faux pas for me, Huss. I usually got the schedules lined up. When I was looking at the booking to Denver, wondering why it was so expensive, thinking the price would be going down, I forgot it was the Friday of spring break and that it's still a popular skiing destination, as it turns out. So there was a reason that flight was a one-way flight for $800 to $1,000. But, that's a bogey on my behalf, but we'll be there for you for the coverage of the last 3 games on this 4-game swing here.
Okay, the Jets don't get a mulligan for the 72 games. You get a mulligan for that one. Have a great one, pal. Thanks for doing this.
Right on. Thanks for having me, and have a great week ahead. And I know that Mike handled it yesterday on his segment, but certainly a lot of us still thinking about Jesse Pierce, who was obviously a friend of the show and friend of many in the industry. So have a great weekend. Enjoy the football talk, and I'll see you soon, my friend.
Thanks, pal.
Go Jays. Go Jays.
That's right. 1-0 tonight. We'll hit that before the end of the program as well. Hacksaw is locked and loaded. He is coming up. We'll have Lee Hacksaw Hamilton's NFL Notebook and maybe a little opening day talk as well on Winnipeg Sports Talk. WST would like to thank our friends at Cleanline Plumbing, Heating, and Electrical for their support of Winnipeg Sports Talk throughout the Jet season. When we're doing the Winnipeg Jet lines, we do it with the gang at Cleanline, who are the leaders in Winnipeg residential and commercial plumbing, heating, and electrical services. Your one-stop shop with over 40 years of experience. And like the captain, Adam Lowry has the back of his teammates, Cleanline has yours with 24/7 emergency services. So when you're in a jam at any time of the day, Cleanline has you covered. 204-500-2001 is the number. Write that one down, 204-500-2001 for 24/7 emergency services from the official plumbing service of the Winnipeg Jets. You can find out more online at cleanline.ca. Well, it's time to get ready for spring with our friends at Royal Sports, Winnipeg's sports superstore, family-owned and operated for over 50 years. And as we get the snow out of here, it is time to get back on the pitch. Royal is the soccer headquarters in town with more boots than you've ever seen. Not to mention great soccer merch from teams and nations around the world. Of course, we got baseball and slow pitch season coming up. They'll get you ready with gloves, bats, everything you need to dominate on it. Of course, they've still got hockey gear, snowboarding gear for those of you making the trip out for spring break, and the best selection of licensed merchandise for fans of the NHL, National Football League, NBA, and of course, Major League Baseball with Blue Jays season just around the corner. Royal Sports, 750 Pembina Highway. You got to see it to believe it. Get down there today and make sure to follow them on Instagram at Royal Sports Winnipeg for the latest merchandise drops and sale information. We still do have plenty of games to get to for the Winnipeg Jets season, and with many on the road, no better place to get together with your gang to watch the squad than your local Boston Pizza. ice cold schooners, world famous BP wings, gourmet pizzas, and of course, Winnipeg Jets pick a player contest where you can win great prizes from BP every time the Winnipeg Jets score. So for the next game or the big game on the TV, head on down to Boston Pizza at your local BP location. Buckle up. And of course, if you are staying at home, you can get the great taste of Boston Pizza by ordering online at bostonpizza.com. All right, much more to come on WST. But first, a big shout out to our friends at Winnipeg's favorite local brewery, Little Brown Jug.
You train day in and day out, learning new techniques, approaching new concepts, and living out the thrill of achieving your goals. Building a craft beer is no different. While you spend your hours on the ice, we spend ours here, brewing our trademark beer. Again, and again. Here's to pushing the status quo and challenging ourselves to build something memorable. 1919 by Little Brown Jug.
All right, Friday afternoon, you know what that means. Marbles in a bit, but first, our visit with the big brain of Lee Hacksaw Hamilton, who joins us now. Saw, you ready for some baseball or what? Great to have the pastime back.
Yeah. I thought you were going to introduce me by saying the most important aspect of this hour is Beer Friday.
Well, and that goes very well with baseball, I might add. We got the Jays opener tonight. They're going to raise the AL banner and AL East championship and start one of 162. Sort of weird that teams like the Jays and Royals had to wait till today to get going, but it was a slow start for the majors. Let me ask you right off the bat, is this entire season a waste of time? Can anybody beat the Los Angeles Dodgers?
Well, it's going to be interesting because there's such a debate, first of all, about the Dodgers, a.k.a. Evil Empire, $403 million payroll, $181 million in luxury tax payments, and their audacity just to stand up and saying, we don't do anything illegal. We are in the number 2 market in the country, and the union has approved the use of deferred salaries. Everybody's using it now, including the Toronto Blue Jays. I'm not going to say it's Dodger arrogance, but it's just the Dodger response to this nationwide criticism. But it was much the same of the Evil Empire and the Steinbrenner era with the Yankees. And then the Red Sox really got good for a chunk of time, and people started to refer to them as the Evil Empire. And the Mets at one point were also there. So that's one storyline on the left hand. Can anybody beat the Dodgers? At this point, when you look at that roster, they seem to be in a different galaxy. But, you know, the Yankees have a really good roster if they get their two starting pitchers back shortly in Garrett Cole and Carlos Rodon. The Mets are going to be really different because there is no Pete Alonso. But at the end of the day, the Mets hit the reset button pretty quick, and they have a load of young pitchers. A couple are already there. 2 more might be there by the All-Star break. And then they traded for Freddie Peralta. Well, that's a really good baseball team at Citi Field in New York. Boston, to me, is kind of a unique team that nobody's paying any attention to. They've loaded their pitching staff. And Boston's got a really good collection of young players led by the star in the making, Roman Anthony. Now, there's some other really good baseball teams. Injuries obviously change everything. But the Dodgers just seem to be in a solar system by themselves. And it's out here. It's crazy. I'm based in San Diego, and the Padres have been trying to claw their way into first place and go to the World Series, and have just spent so much money and made. They've set all types of records in San Diego for a small market for revenue and attendance. They just can't beat the Dodgers, and the dislike between Dodger Blue and Padre Brown and Gold it's unbelievable. The exchange between the fans of these two cities. So. It's exciting. So the left hand, we're talking about the start of the season and Evil Empire. You know, the other storyline that's going to overtake the baseball season, Huss, is going to be what happens, potential lockout, free agency, salary cap, unions, new leadership, die on the hill, Detroit and Tarek Skubal, sign him, keep him, trade him. The ABS, the robo-ump, they're going to be controversial. The Umpires Association's whining, you're making our guys look bad. So there's so many off-the-field baseball stories that we're going to be paying attention to in addition to first pitch play ball.
What are the chances in your mind, Lee, that a year from today we're watching the Major League Baseball schedule start on time?
We need common sense. Everybody's making money. This is the greatest revenue stream baseball's ever had, greatest attendance, greatest TV ratings. It's now a global game. Thank you, Ohtani, and all the other great players that come from Japan and Korea. Why would you screw this up? Secondly, there is a piece of the equation that the union just totally looks the other way on and does not address. It totally ignores it as if it's not there. Do you know, and we all know about the Dodgers' $403 million payroll. The Yankees do what the Mets do. Do you know there's 8 teams in baseball? First pitch yesterday, Huss, to spend less than $100 million. 8. And they're all getting revenue share. They're all getting their big cut of the TV pie. And they're not investing it back into players. And I discussed this with Jake Cronenworth, who's the Padres player rep here in San Diego, and he's going to die on the hill because we don't want a salary cap. But at the end of the day, you look at the most successful sport, the NFL, they've got a hard cap. And they have a floor to spending. You have to spend 90% of your revenue in the NFL on salaries. That means that every mid-market NFL team, unless you got screwball management, every mid-market team has access to sign really quality players. There's a lot of money to be spread. And if they would adapt, take the best of the NFL CBA, the NBA has it, the NHL has it, they have a floor to spending too. If you take all that good second-tier free agent pitcher, that 310 hitter, not everybody can be a Dodger or a Yankee. They're going to go to Pittsburgh, Miami, Tampa, Kansas City, Detroit. And what you get then is your baseball team is in a pennant race in August and September, and the excitement in these communities where they've not had pennant race teams forever, that is going to be spectacular. Spectacular then equals TV ratings equals mega attendance. And I just don't understand. We're going to die on the hill. We don't want a salary cap when we've seen the prime example on the other street corner what the NFL has become. Take the best and make it work and make all these major market owners spend the damn money.
Yeah, exactly. You look at the Rockies, the Pirates. I mean, they're more than happy to put out garbage product and cash the checks and make a bunch of money at the end of the year. And you're right. It is a big problem in baseball. And yes, I mean, we'll be enjoying what's happening on the field, but we might really need to enjoy it because I'm not sure we're going to be in the similar situation a year from now. Moving over to the NFL, we count down to the draft next month. Still waiting for the Eagles to pull the trigger on A.J. Brown. Is it going to happen?
A lot of conversation. Conversation was reignited. I find this hard to believe that the Rams would do this, but the Rams seem to really be pushing the envelope. And again, their management team just operates by a different philosophy. They just have no fear. I think I told you the story about the general manager, Les Snead, who wears this big blue and gold T-shirt, says "F them draft picks." There isn't in the building, but
he wore it to the Super Bowl parade.
Yeah, they've done a really good job in terms of player personnel evaluation, drafts, etc. And they spend enormous amounts of money. And they have an aging team, and they're all in because they're going to try to get back to the Super Bowl for a third time. Since they moved to Los Angeles, because the clock is obviously ticking on a really great quarterback in Matthew Stafford, but he is going to be 39. It's going to be creative to see what they do. Are they willing to trade a 1 this year plus a player? Monty Adams? That's the rumor. Or will Philadelphia just say, hey, give me a 1 and give me maybe a 2 and a 3 in future years? Because the Rams are going to be good. That number 1 will be at the back end of the first round. So that's when New England is back in the conversation. New England's got lots of draft picks, and there's a personal relationship between Brown, who was in Tennessee when Mike Vrabel was there. So keep an eye on that one too. I heard Cleveland again. Now Cleveland's got a pile of draft picks, but that's such a sordid situation because they don't have quarterbacking. But Philadelphia is going to move on, and I'm kind of stunned from the Philadelphia perspective. Why would you get rid of this guy? I know he's a diva. And I know he just talks and talks and talks. He just wears you out with I'm happy, I'm not happy, da-da-da-da. This guy's a great player. 4 straight seasons of 1,000 yards. So I think that domino is going to fall. Is it going to fall before the draft? Maybe. If not, it might fall June 1st because then there's some salary cap implications there. Philadelphia's going to get dinged on this. I'm shocked Philadelphia would do it. For the Rams, damn, they're bold enough. Maybe they can execute.
Well, I think that it would be a perfect landing spot for him because that is a veteran team with a Super Bowl winning coach. Not that Sirianni didn't win a Super Bowl as well, but you know what I'm saying. I mean, he sort of seems like he lets the inmates run the asylum, if you will. That's not the case with the Rams. And you would come in to a place with a leader like Matt Stafford. And I mean, I think the expectation would be that, and then the other side of the, can you imagine him going to Cleveland?
Oh.
I mean, that would be such a mess. I mean, they do need the right spot for him. But I do kind of understand that Philly is at a spot where, you know what, if you have a toxic locker room and you got issues, sometimes you got to make bold decisions. What's the latest scuttlebutt on the QB carousel?
This is a strange story because I would have thought by today when I'm talking to you that the next free agent veteran quarterback would have made a decision. And maybe there's a decision coming, but it's not the one we're thinking of. I was told last week by NFL guys I network with that Kirk Cousins was going to wind up with the Raiders as the starter, and then the guy who would ferry Fernando Mendoza into the beginning of his pro football career. He's not visited there yet. He was supposed to go there last week. It didn't happen. You know where he is? Green Bay. Now, they're looking for an insurance policy quarterback. Jordan Love is a star. Cousins may be going there because of relationships with that coach. Now, he's going there on Atlanta's money. It's not going to be a Green Bay big contract, but that to me is a weird fit. Why would he go there to sit behind Jordan Love when he could go be a starter and maybe get himself another contract a year from now if he goes back and becomes a street free agent? So that's a real fascinating story there. We're still waiting for a decision. Do you know what the area code in Egypt is? Can somebody please call Aaron Rodgers on holiday and just find out if he's going to make a decision? I don't understand why Mike McCarthy's just letting this go on and on and on. I do know this, that they will work out Ty Simpson, the late first-round draft pick from Alabama, although there's all kinds of mixed reviews as to how good he is. And they do have Will Howard, the kid from Ohio State. They let this Aaron Rodgers thing just go on and on and on. And even though there is a relationship between Mike McCarthy and Aaron Rodgers, so I'm kind of really surprised on that story. So those are veteran names to keep out there as we're marching towards history.
A few wideouts still out there. And I mean, listen, wideouts are getting paid now. I mean, like the top guys are getting paid like quarterbacks, but having less expensive, productive wideouts to fill out those rooms, it's a must for contending teams.
Well, I'll tell you what, there's a lot of guys still out there. Although the free agent board has been swept clean, except at the wide receiver position. You're correct on that. Good point by you. Tyreek Hill. But that's a damaged kneecap. And this massive lawsuit that's hanging over his head. That's a big issue off the field. Stephon Diggs is out there. He's going to have to swallow his pride because New England got rid of him. He would not take a pay cut from the $28 million cap figure. Is he a standout player? I don't know that he's a difference maker, but he's a good football player, but he moves around. So there's junk off the field with attitude with him. Keenan Allen is the most reputable, but again, that guy's got 1,000 miles on him. The ex-Charger, ex-Bear, yet to be signed. Not a bad character, good player, but I don't think he's got a lot of speed left on the odometer. Deebo Samuels, a lot of issues, a lot of personality clash. Now Washington wants to get rid of him after the 49ers got rid of him. DeAndre Hopkins, who has been a vested veteran, can be productive. He's never been the dominant guy I thought he would be. Brandon Ayuk is in jail, figuratively, in San Francisco. He's being held hostage. They don't want him back, but they won't release him. They're trying to trade him. That's a good player, but boy, there's all kinds of attitudinal issues with him. And Odell Beckham has announced he wants to come back and play, and that's 1,000 miles of troubled road too. I mean, I just gave you a list, I think, of 7 or 8 veteran guys have had good chunks of their career, but Hustler, every one of them comes with baggage. You wouldn't take that on? You tell me. You're the general manager at this hour.
Yeah, I mean, listen, as a Chiefs guy, I would love to get the band back together and give the Cheetah another shot to see if he still has any gas left in the tank and if that leg still works. But Diggs, I mean, that's a no. Odell Beckham Jr., it all depends. I mean, at the end of the day, some of the guys that'll be the most impactful, we're going to hear their names called at the end of April in the draft. And I think we're going to see probably a lot of those guys, Lee, have to wait it out for the next month and see what happens in the draft and then where the holes are in these other spots. And for the veteran guys, if that means they got to miss some OTAs or take their time, I'm sure they won't mind at all doing that.
Yeah, but they have to swallow their pride because the big money days are now gone. A lot of those guys would have trouble.
Absolutely, they would. Lee, great visit as always. Just before we go, thoughts on the defending AL champion Toronto Blue Jays who get going tonight. We got your old guy Dylan Cease in the 2-hole.
Well, Jays are just phenomenal. I closed my eyes, and that was one of the best World Series I've ever seen. And I've been watching this and covering it for my entire life. That was spectacular, especially that Game 7, the heart-stopping plays by both sides. And you felt bad the Jays did not win it. And then you honor the Dodgers, who damn did earn it defensively with some of the spectacular plays. And Toronto's been active in this offseason. I happen to like Dylan Cease, but I'll tell you, you just never know. You flip the 50-cent piece. You just never know what you're going to get start to start from him. Got a world of talent, strong as a bull. He does not physically break down, but half the time he does not know where the ball's going. And he becomes a 4 or 5 inning pitcher, and he walks a lot of guys, and his pitch count is high. They've never been able to rein him in. 2 years ago, he was just phenomenal for the Padres, and then last year, you couldn't trust him. And his ERA was really bloated. So it's kind of a mystery. But he's a competitive guy. He's got a fire that burns in the pit of his stomach. So that's a good acquisition. And they do have some mileage on the Toronto pitching staff, and they got some health issues too. So this guy will come in. He'll fit right in. He's a good clubhouse guy. So I think it's a nice hire from the Jays. But I don't know when they flip the coin whether we're going to get a good start or a bad start. Losing Bo Bichette, that's sort of a different now to your everyday lineup. But this is still I think a really good, complete team that plays really hard for John Schneider.
Well, we're looking forward to Okamoto making his debut. I mean, they dipped into the Japanese market. He's going to start at third, we believe, tonight. And he's, I think, the second favorite for Rookie of the Year after Kevin McGonigal, who had a great start yesterday in his first game. But I'll tell you what about Cease. If you look at his career, he is a guy that has had outstanding year, so-so year, outstanding year, so-so year. I wouldn't be surprised. And Pete Walker, the Jays pitching coach, has had a lot of success with veterans coming in and really taking them to the next level. I think he could be a sleeper this year for a big, big season on a really good team that has very high expectations.
And they gave him a lot of money. Holy cow. I mean, I almost fell off my chair at my computer when that story broke. The kind of bank that Dylan Cease got. But at the end of the day, he's a really fierce competitor. He's a good. So if the Jays can repeat it, I don't know. I don't think last year was a fluke. You'll have to tell me because you're closer to it than I am. Led Guerrero looks like a different person, like grown up mentally compared to being just a talent. He just looks like a different type guy who's now about to become a leader. And of course, I dealt with his dad when his dad was here with the Angels, and I thought he was just a classy. So I think the kid's grown into a different role.
Yeah, well, I mean, to be honest, he had a very underwhelming regular season, and then when the chips were down, had a monster playoffs that I think we all hope kind of takes him to superstardom. He's getting the check, so now it's time to back it up with some big plays. Can't wait for the entire season, but we get the Jays tonight for the first time this year. Saw, you have yourself a great weekend. Beer Friday, crack one, and enjoy the baseball. And we got a lot of great hockey races too going on. You keep your eyes on what's going on in the East every night. It is it was one of the greatest playoff races I can remember, with so many teams right in it, and teams being in and out almost on a nightly basis. So
do you know how much crap I take in my house because I'm kind of a closet Maple Leaf fan, married to a Montreal Canadian fan from Quebec. You know how hard that is at this hour?
I can only imagine. Habs, young, exciting, Leafs in a very, very bad spot. Not to mention they've traded their first-round pick for this year in that deal last year to Boston, unless they finish in the top 5, which they could, but it's probably more likely they're picking like 7th or 8th, and that'll exasperate the problems with the Leafs. Hacksaw, have a great one, pal. Thanks again as always.
Your Friday to you. Talk to you next week. Thanks, Huss.
There it is, at Hacksaw 1090 on X, and of course LeeHacksawHamilton.com is the website. Make sure to subscribe to Hacksaw's YouTube channel as well. All right, we've got marbles coming up. It is open. If you just popped in, !marbles in the chat. We'll get to that in a minute. Man, we had a great time last week out seeing the Terminator and the gang at Chud's Power Sports. They were just in the process of moving out the sleds and bringing in all the new bikes. Man, there were some real cool ones. If you are thinking about, a bike or an ATV, head out to Gimli, pop by, see Dermot and the gang, and then make sure you pop over to Carlos Cucina to have one of those burgers. I'm still thinking about that burger from last week. Let's, just before we get to the Cool Bet lines, let's get to our Chud's Power Sports Power Poll. And it's the preseason Major League Baseball Power Poll. No doubt it's got to be the Dodgers. They're the defending champs. They got all the money. They added Tucker and Diaz in the offseason, arguably the top 2 guys on the market. And listen, they're the champs until they're not. I give the Toronto Blue Jays number 2. Love the additions in the rotation. I think they're a deeper team this year. They've got great defense. Hopefully Okamoto can take and replace the offense that Bo Bichette leaves now with the Mets. But Jays a solid number 2. And then listen, the Yankees, certainly if you look at the betting odds, are right up there. I would love for this to be the only time they find themselves on the power poll. Shout out to Aaron Judge and his golden sombrero, 4 strikeouts on opening day. Still a very good roster. They're at number 3. I'm going to put your Mariners in at number 4. Love that team. I think Brian Wu is a bit of a dark horse maybe to be in the mix for the Cy Young, although if you saw what Tariq Skubal and Garrett Crochet did yesterday, it's going to probably be tough to bounce into the top 2. But that Mariners team is young, exciting, and very, very good. And listen, with the big guy Schwarber back with the Phillies, this seems like a time for the Phillies to win that NL East. I know the Mets are very popular right now with preseason picks, but I'll take the Phillies on that. What do you think of the Chud's Power Sports Power Poll going in? Anyone that I missed in your opinion, or someone that's too high?
Looking like a good poll. I think hard not to have the Dodgers as number 1, Blue Jays number 2. I think that's certainly fair. I like the Yankees at 3, very strong lineup. I mean, I'm not going to argue about the Mariners. Nice to see the Bats, get going. That was a big concern for them last season, but that was in a losing effort. Phillies, I like them as well. I think one team maybe you could make your argument for, the Mets. Everyone harps on the Dodgers for all their spending and turns the other eye. The Mets, they spent a lot of money too, but they sucked.
Just not well.
So they got Freddie Peralta. He was their opening day starter yesterday. That was a nice pickup for them. They signed Bo Bichette. We'll see how that works out. So I think the Mets are on the outside looking in of this power poll. Maybe you could bump them up.
Good stuff. The Terminator. Hopefully that is just fake news.
About what?
Tiger Woods.
Oh, yeah. So Terminator just sent this. So big news. Tiger Woods was just in a rollover car crash. I'm reading this on ESPN right now.
Seriously?
Yeah. Here, it's probably the front page, actually. It just happened. He wrote that.
Oh, my God.
He just wrote this in chat. Here it is. Tiger Woods involved in Florida rollover crash. This is like an hour ago or 40 minutes ago. No details about the cause. They're going to speak at 4 o'clock. It occurred just after 2 Eastern in the same town where he lives. Oh, here's this photo showed which his car turned on the driver's side. He spent several months recovering from a ruptured Achilles and a back surgery in October. And he competed for the first time in more than a year during Tuesday's TGL Finals, where his Jupiter Lynx GC team lost to LA Golf Club. You probably already knew that. You're a big TGL guy.
I did. They got pumped 9-2. It was ugly.
So he's been deciding, hey, should he return to the Masters next week? And so here's a picture of the crash. Ooh. So let's zoom in on this. Ooh. That's an SUV on its side.
That is that's scary. Well, listen, hopefully Tiger's okay, man. That's never mind Augusta or the Masters, but we might need he's got all the money. We might just need a driver for Tiger. Just going forward.
Too many car incidents with Tiger.
I mean, that last one was incredibly serious, and he's lucky to have survived it. I mean, this one, hopefully not too serious. But anyways, we'll sure that'll be dominating most of the sports headlines coming up over the next little bit. Listen, before we get to marbles, let's head over to CoolBet and check out the CoolBet lines. Tonight in the NHL, we got 2 games. The Red Wings at Buffalo. I'm kind of surprised that Buffalo's not a bigger favorite in this game. Buffalo minus 154. Detroit plus 130. Wings in a desperate situation. They've sort of fallen to the second team out of the wild card right now. Some big win last night by the Islanders. Habs beat the Blue Jackets. Pittsburgh got a big 2 points in OT against Ottawa. So Detroit is desperate. I'm just not sure that they can do it. Certainly, I love Buffalo. They've been very, very good as of late, coming off a overtime loss to Boston their last time out. I like Buffalo minus 154. And I'll tell you what, Reem, I think this Blackhawks Rangers game has 3-point game written all over it. I'm going the 60-minute draw at plus 340 in this one tonight. A draw with Buffalo comes out to plus 626. I think I'm going to play that.
2 draw?
No, just the draw in the Blackhawks Rangers game, basically to go to overtime.
Oh, and Buffalo to win.
And Buffalo to win, plus 626. So I'm going to lock that one in. Canada's taking on Iceland tomorrow in a World Cup tune-up game. Canada minus 182. I put this together with Iwanek today. So we're going to take Canada over Iceland. We're going to take the Blue Jays tonight. I'll just pull this up right now. We'll dive into it a bit more. But Blue Jays minus 182 favorites, home against Athletics. I love that there's no name. It's just Athletics. So we're going to add that with Canada. We're going to put Buffalo on this ticket. So we're going to get one hockey winner tonight. So we've got a soccer, we've got a baseball, we've got a hockey game. And then we'll go to March Madness tonight, NCAA basketball, and we're going to take Iowa State to win. They're 3.5-point favorites, but we won't worry about it. Canada, Jays, Sabres, Cyclones, plus 505. So if you want to ride with us on that one, that's a fun four-sporter. The Jays, Sabres, and Iowa all are tonight. And then if those come through, we'll be watching the Canada-Iceland game, looking to cash a ticket. Spreads for tonight for March Madness: Duke 6.5-point favorites against St. John's, Michigan 8.5-point favorites against Bama, UConn 1.5-point favorites against Michigan State, and Iowa State 3.5-point favorites against Tennessee. The 2 games in the 8s are tomorrow. Purdue and Arizona, Iowa and Illinois. Zona minus 6.5, Illinois minus 7.5. And again, just for Blue Jays today, I do like the Jays to win. I think we're going to jump on George Springer, who had such a monster year last year. Springer over 1.5 total bases at -116. And we'll mix in a Wiebe for Vladdy, +130. So those are some picks for the Jays game tonight. Men's curling is on right now. I think Matty Dunstone's up 1-0 after 2. They're taking on the Koreans. I saw somebody in chat say that the Koreans are only playing with 3 guys. There are a couple games later on tonight. Germany against the USA. USA -159, and the Swiss are massive favorites against Poland. World Curling, March Madness, NCAA hockey, NHL, Major League Baseball, NBA. It is all waiting for you over at CoolBet. If you haven't played there before, use the promo code WST for a 100% bonus up to $300. Oh, and by the way, you can mark this down. I know, Remo, you're going to be away for the first one, but we're not doing poker next Wednesday because it's AEW, and a bunch of us are going or planning on going. So the 8th of April is going to be the next poker night. Hammer and myself will be in there with bounties on our heads. And then May 13th. So mark those down in your calendar. 8 p.m. starts. Throw it in your phone. And we'll look forward to doing it up again as we get our monthly poker games with CoolBet going again. Cannot wait to do that. So April 8th, May 13th, locked in for WST Poker. All right, it's marbles time. I'm looking forward to the race. We had a great track last week. I'm looking forward to seeing what Remo has cooked up for today. Before we dive into that, though, let's fire it up with a little Tristan Rivers music to get us in the mood.
It's Friday, another week of work's gone by. You deserve to treat yourself, maybe an ice cream cake or a bottle of rye. For the whole day in, so lavish you can't deny. Why use effort even for pleasure? Give my love a try. It's time to do a marble race. No one's gonna separate and best to worst. Marble race. Just like marbles with the punctuation first. Marble race. Don't spare or you will suffer unexpected. Marble race. Get to your earth before it's too late. Set go!
Right, marbles time on WST. I did notice, and Remis just mentioned this in the chat, nice super boost over at CoolBet for the Jays game tonight. Jays to win, Vladdy to get a hit, +131. So you can jump on that. I'm going to max out my $20 bet on that one. And, by the way, I also want to shout out Pitt and the gang. I was talking to a couple of the fellas at the game last night. They are so looking forward to this ice and snow to leave and get on with fishing season. AkinsLake.com is where you can find information out there. Booking up for the summer. I'm kind of trying to figure out a day to get out there with some friends. If you haven't already, if you're looking for just a world-class flying and fishing experience where you can be on the water in less than 2 hours from the city, Akins is the spot. As amazing as the world-class fishing is, the world-class hospitality from the Akins team, even better. AkinsLake.com for information on the upcoming fishing season. Hopefully we'll see you out there. All right, Remo, where are we going today for the marbles festivities?
All right, I sampled a couple tracks, and I did play the AC/DC theme. I don't think we honored AC/DC's announcement of the concert. The tickets just went on sale. A couple stadium shows. What year is it us? Motley Crue and AC/DC at with Princess Auto Stadium.
Motley Crue coming. This is what, about the 8th last tour of Motley Crue? I joked with some buddies, we were talking about this, that they should do a shirt, Motley Crue, retirement, or the last tour. which they've done like 8 times, and they could have all of the retirement tours on a T-shirt, sort of like that T-shirt with all the Browns quarterbacks.
Yes.
Over the course of the last 10 years.
Well,
it's
but yeah,
hilarious.
2015 crossed out, 2007 crossed out, whatever years they were. So I had to play that one for the Marlboro race. I tested a couple tracks. I don't know. Last week's was good. Do you want the one with the false finish? Like someone's going to get screwed over? Or do you want the one with more of a traditional style finish? Do people like when it's like looks like someone's going to win, but it's like Temple of Steve or something? There's some obstacle that like, you know, you get to the end and...
Is it guaranteed that they don't win? Or it's just that's the final... It's like
that's
the final
just what
boss.
it is. There's like kind of like a trap door that opens and closes right before the finish line. Sometimes it opens. So do people like that? I don't know.
Let's go with it. Let's be a little cutthroat today. You can't win until you're officially in.
Okay.
So there will be no. Put it this way: don't do a touchdown dance until you're in the end zone. That's the rule of today's pod. But get me in there too, please, if you don't mind.
Okay, so we have 108. Everyone says go for it. I think people like it. I think it's entertaining. We love the screw over. Okay, I want to make sure some people. I know there's some people that say that track should be banned, like Temple of Steve, but we keep doing it. So
the Temple of Steve, we go back there every now and then, and again, that's the one where you got about a 50-50 chance of getting it into the hopper when you get to the end. All right, marbles on a Friday, heading into the weekend. Tomorrow, Jets Avalanche, 6 o'clock from Denver. And then out on the road after this crazy march of games at Canada Life Center. Not too many home games left. By the way, join us. If you haven't been to one of the WST nights, let's do it up in style to finish up the season. April 11th against Philly, Saturday night. Go to winnipegjets.com/WST, grab your seats, and join us. Regardless of where the team is in the standings or what's going on, you know we'll have a good time. And Philly, I haven't seen Mitchkoff yet, so I'll be looking forward to seeing him. And it should be a great night. So we'd love to have you join us again. winnipegjets.com/WST. And Remo, as you get that ready, obviously Denver tomorrow, Chicago Blackhawks Tuesday to finish up March. April Fool's Day, that's AEW on Wednesday. And then in Dallas against the Stars on Thursday. And I can't wait for this game a week Saturday. Bones and the Blue Jackets at home against the Jets as they finish up the road trip. But yeah, only 3 more home games. The 6th of April against Seattle.
It's prime
game. Our game, the 11th against Philly, and then the last one, which will still be a great night. It's fan appreciation night, and we get a chance to see Macklin Celebrini and the Sharks, and it looks like both of those teams will be just jockeying for their spot in the draft lottery order at that point. All right, Remo, let's do it.
Okay, I got the track here, Huss, ready to rock. There's going to be some eliminations. I don't want to tease the whole thing, but...
Yeah, no problem. Well, let's just see it. It's the New Kingdom Tango.
Yes, 186 marbles.
By Zerto King. Good luck to everybody. Let's drop them on WST and see who comes out first. Again, new track, but rumors abound that it's a bit of a sketchy ending, so we'll see who lasts. Vinny Toba. And Mary Jane with nice starts. Ooh, Pretty and Pionk. Mr. V-Dub.
Oh, there's Hustler.
Out. I'm out. That's
no.
the earliest I've been eliminated ever. Manny Fran and Cowboy. I guess if you get on the outside, you are done.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of eliminations on this one, it looks like. There's Dallas Pauls. Where's Dallas?
He's in Japan. It's Saturday.
Japan?
Yeah,
What time is it now?
It's tomorrow morning. I think he will. I think it was like 3 a.m. when we started. It might be 5 a.m. there.
That's amazing. Dallas, hope you're having a great time in Japan. Speaking of Japan, let's get Okamoto with a big debut tonight for the Jays. Looking forward to this baseball game. All right, there's No Frills Demo. There's Mary Jane. Now, I think they go in. I think you got to go down, Remis. Like, where do they go once
they go
here?
through this warp, and then they come out the bottom of that ramp.
Yeah. Okay,
There's a lot of warps there. It's very confusing, that part, but it gets good here.
Here we go. No Frills Demo, Trickstar, Mary Jane, Slobo, Larry TSG, Arloan.
Oh, man. Look at this. Everyone's in there.
Yeah, a lot of the regulars. Mark Amph. Oh, S2 Norm. Norm has, I think, shot to the front.
Yeah, he's in there.
All right, there's S2 Norm. This is going to be a tight end. Mike Cochran, Jason Moran, Jambust, 87 as well. All right, here we go. This is... These are always interesting. Okay, Mark Amph. Northside Sandwich. Whoa. Could we have our first ever EST winner? Northside is a nasty from the EST. Ian McDonald. Tyson D. Doing it for Transcona. Been a tough week for Transcona.
Oh, they're all getting eaten.
Amp, everyone's getting eaten. Will they go through? All right, they're through. And who is it? Bretsky. Wayne Bretsky and Tyson went 1-2.
And Candace number 3.
Candace 3. Wow. Wayne Bretsky and Tyson are homies from, I said big. Well, this is a big day for Transcona. Back to back with the boys. Candace number 3. Jambust 87, 4. Jason Moran 74. Ian McDonald in 6th, Patrolman Pete 7th, Mark Amph 8th, Ray OG 9, and number 10 NC Paget. That was that was a wild end.
That was crazy. Yeah, like they had this little thing like opens and closes. You can kind of see. Yeah, and some of them were going down, and some
dropping through.
Were dropping through, and then it,
well, you warned everybody. You warned everybody about it, and that's the way that it was. Wild race. Wayne Bretsky, 79, and Tyson, the top 2. Yeah, NC Paget, first time in the top 10. Nice run. Nice run. That was a crazy track. And Bretsky can bump out the champagne. The boys are going straight to rookies. And then to the spike later on to celebrate their 1-2 finish. Well, fun show. Still a little pissed about what happened to Morgan Barron last night, but we'll see what happens tomorrow. 10 games left in the regular season. We'll be scoreboard watching and hoping that, listen, it would be great if Chicago and the Rangers both had a 3-point game tonight. When you look at the standings, the teams right around the Jets, that if you're thinking about draft position, which I am, you're wanting to win. The Blues have been good lately. They're just one behind the Jets with a game in hand. So that would be nice if they can keep their hot streak going. And San Jose is one behind with 2 games in hand. So, if you could pop them there. And, Calgary has been playing really well. They are 4 points back of the Jets. But they lost in the shootout or the overtime last night. They gave a goal with 1 second left. Helped us cash that ticket we had last night, which was nice. But they're playing hard. They won. They got 9 of their last 10 points, which is taking them above Chicago and New York. Blackhawks at 67. And then the Rangers, and no one's coming close to Vancouver. They're locked in. 50 points on the season. Here's the list as we just went through. I was an early eliminated. This is everyone that went down. And heading back to the top in case you missed. I love T-Will's new handle.
What, T-Will, hockey expert?
MB, hockey expert. It's great. Oh, I see Dr. Terry in there. Thanks again to Terry and St. Vital Dental Center for those tickets. Got a nice note from Kevin, who had a great time at the game on Tuesday against Las Vegas. That is going to do it for us, gang. Let's get Mother Nature to kind of get things going here with this melt. Not very warm today. I think it should be above zero later on this weekend, so hopefully we can pick up the pace a little bit, getting to spring. But it will be spring tonight on Sportsnet, first of 162 Blue Jays games on for us against the Athletics to start things off. And again, Jets tomorrow at 6. Don't forget, Connor and Liz, WST Sunday Live, Sunday morning, 9 a.m., and we will be back to wrap the entire weekend and look ahead to the rest of the road trip for the Jets on Monday at 1. By the way, Simon Hildebrand, back with the Sea Bears. We'll look to get Simon on next week and check in on what's cooking with the Bombers in the offseason. So it's all coming up next week. In the meantime, have yourself a great weekend. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks to all the sponsors that make Winnipeg Sports Talk happen each and every day. You have a great one. We will see you Monday right here at 1 p.m. on WST.
Oh, my God! Oh! Shut it down! Let's go home!
Thanks for tuning in to Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube and your favorite podcast feed at winnipegsportstalk.com.